All right, guys, we're here. I don't feel good this morning, man. I don't know if it's this house or what, but man, sore throat, stuffy nose, just body aches. Sucks. But we're here. We got Jerome Powell today. That's a pretty big thing. Let me know if you think he talks about rate cuts and when that might potentially be. Who knows? See what happens. I might be able to type faster on this. I might be able to type faster on this computer. I'll have to do a typing test while I'm here. All right. See. All right, so we got that rolling here. Powell speaks at 9:30 Eastern time. I'll try to get a timer. I need one here on this computer. I know if so right now it's 6:45 Eastern. I think I'll be able to put out a timer right at 7 o'clock on Canva, I think. Let me see. But yeah, I'm not feeling good today, man. I don't know if it's... This house is a little old. It's like built in the 1920s. So it could be that, but man. Let's see what else we got. Let me know if you can hear the music. You should be able to. There's an hour timer. There's 30 minutes. We also have the JOLTS job report today, which is pretty big. Now, what I can do is I can put a current clock. Maybe up, let's see. Maybe not. Let me mess with this timer, see if I can get it to work. Because I could probably at the very least get like a countdown going. I just don't know how. Let's see, we try alarm. Yeah, we can put a world clock up here. We can also put like a countdown timer if I can get it to work. The hard part is to get it to stay on the screen. So like, here's a timer. I can put this up, you know, to count down, but it kind of blocks the screen. The only way I'd be able to do it, I think, is if I did something like this. I could probably do something like this, and then maybe squeeze the timer here, you know, and then put like another chart below me, and that will give me 4 charts too. So that actually might be better. We want just regular countdown. All right, so we have, let's see, it's 6:47. 7. Okay, so this thing needs to go to 8:30. So we have 2 hours. Is it 2 hours and 12 and a half minutes? I think is what the timer is. Or no, is it 2 hours and 43 and a half minutes, actually, right? That's probably right. Let's see. Yeah, 8:31. Okay, so we got a minute off. Okay. There we go. All right. Boom. All right, so there is our timer. Let me know if that works. That should work pretty well, I think. We can still see everything. I can also put up a little mini timer right here too. What do you want to see in the bottom? Maybe like Bitcoin or like gold or something like that, I would argue. Or the bottom chart here. Can y'all even see this is the question? We could keep the timer up though, because it could basically block the whole timer except for the one words. There we go. See how y'all can see this. Let me exit out of some of this stuff. There's baby Bruce. Puppy. There's a all right, so GameStop's still pretty flat. Didn't really do much. I heard the lawsuit got dropped though, so that's good. And then today, chat, we have the JOLTS report. Fed, Powell speaking at 9:30. Today's very busy. Tomorrow is busier, but tomorrow it's a half day too. Yeah, we can kind of like zoom in like this. This will probably keep it a little bit cleaner, right? We can still see the SPY here. Vote. What do you guys want to have up here? Oh, dude, like this sucks, man. I'm not feeling good. It's weird. So like, I got on the plane. I got off the plane. I got on the plane. Got off the plane, and fell asleep here and took a nap here, and then woke up feeling sick. You know, it's got to be allergies, right? Like that's the only thing that makes sense. It's got to be allergies. So I woke up. I fell asleep on the bed here, and woke up, felt sick. Stuffy nose, sore throat, head cold. Right? It's got to be allergies. Has to be. And then, you know, I got better slowly over the next couple of days, and then I fell asleep last night, woke up this morning, and feel the same way. So it's got to be allergies. That's the only thing that makes plausible sense. Tesla. Yeah, we can put Tesla up. We got to put NVIDIA up here too. Like we got GameStop and Chewy up for now, but they're both down. Here's NVIDIA, Tesla. NVIDIA's down a little bit. The SPY is flat. Let's make this a little bit cleaner. I do like this chart here. This actually might be a better setup for home. There we go. I've taken Zyrtec for allergies. But dude, honestly, it's weird because like I have never been allergic to anything ever. Like the house I grew up in as a child had so much mold and dust in it that I thought I was just conditioned to be used to it. Maybe I haven't lived in a house like that for a while, so maybe that's what it is. But like my dad bought, you know, again, my dad was frugal. He was smart with his money, right? So when he bought our house as a kid, he made enough money to like buy a decent house. But like I remember he bought like this fixer-upper home that was like beaten down, you know. He got it for like 70K or 60K or something like that. But it had some land on it. It had like, my dad's a falconer, and so it had like a couple acres of like wooded area in the back from the hunt. And so he yeah. But over time that house got fixed up and he eventually sold it. By the time I was an adult, he sold it. But he was really smart with it. So my dad's doing well now. When we were young, he was doing okay when we were young, but he's definitely doing better now. Because that land, those acres that he had, the area surrounding it turned into businesses, you know. So they turned into business centers and like business buildings, and they kept approaching him wanting him to sell, and he just kept pushing back and saying no. And he held that property, like everybody in the surrounding area sold, he held out and didn't sell for like years and years, and it appreciated so much in that little 5-year period where he didn't sell that he sold it and was able to buy his next house in cash. Again, I don't know how much he made from it. He's never told me. This was all since I was an adult. Like, I was an adult after this happened. My dad had me. I was an adult, so I never got to see it, but that's okay. I hope he's living good. Smart guy. Gotcha, Sam. Yeah, I'll try it. Yeah, and they ended up just bulldozing my old house too. They ended up just taking it down. Anytime I drive by my old neighborhood, they just took it down. My whole neighborhood's kind of rough, but that pocket of land appreciated. Yeah, I'm in Michigan right now. Yeah, my dad had diamond hands with that. He held it all the way until I was an adult, which was smart. He bought it when I was like a baby. Like, he bought it when I was a baby. Point is, the house I lived in growing up had a lot of like mold and like I don't know how much it had. It was a really old house at the time. Like, even in the 90s, it was a really old house. So I've never reacted to allergies ever. Never been allergic to dogs or cats or trees or pine or pollen or anything like that. So it's just weird. Strange. What's strange is the likelihood that I got sick my first day here, got better, and now I feel sick again, right? So that doesn't really signal to me a cold. That signals to me allergies. Right, for sure. Stoops, 100%. All right, guys. So yeah, I'm gonna look up the big stock market stories of the day. All right. So the ECB's Lagarde says it will take time to be certain the inflation is on track. Stronger labor markets means the ECB has time to gather info. We did have construction spending, manufacturing stuff. Bank of England sold some bonds. The stock Tiva is getting investigated. Yeah, I'm a little bit younger than 40 Dream, but yeah, I'm getting there. I'm in my mid-30s, but I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm in Michigan. I'm from Louisiana originally, so I'm used to like hot, humid southern weather. I'm not used to cold, and it's been chilly here. Yeah, I'm from around, like, I'm not from New Orleans. I'm from about an hour away from New Orleans. For anybody that doesn't understand Southern geography, I'm about an hour. I was born about an hour away from New Orleans. I don't want to be too specific. Most people know already, though. Go Tigers. Yeah, so make sure we're monetized. Yeah. Oh shoot, pawn, my bad. I just remember I forgot to do something here. I got you, bro. Hold on. Did I just curse? If I did, I'm sorry. I don't think I did, but if I did, my bad. I curse like a sailor when the stream's not on. When the stream goes on, we try to keep it family friendly over here. But yeah. Okay. All right, there you go. Just did that thing. Anyways, my wife lived Georgia forbid. I don't know how you guys can live down there with the humidity. We had 100 degrees and 90% humidity the other day, and I felt like I was swimming in the air. Yeah, I mean, listen, you get used to it. You get used to it. You swim a lot during the summer, like you go to swimming pools and hang out, and it's honestly. I'm trying to think of the most delicate way to put this. Louisiana specifically is very stereotyped negatively a lot of the time towards kind of like country people, right? It's kind of stereotyped like water boy and stuff like that. Conor McGregor famously called Dustin Poirier some hillbilly or whatever he called him, but Louisiana has got some beautiful people in it. Like beautiful people any way you look at it. They're just good people in Louisiana. And, it's just a good place. Baton Rouge, which is my hometown, is a little bit worse than it was when I was growing up. It wasn't good when I was growing up, especially when I was a teenager. It wasn't good. And I got in I did a lot of dumb stuff when I was young and dumb. But as I aged and got older, I don't want to live in Louisiana anymore. I don't want to live in Baton Rouge anymore. I love it. It's my hometown. I visit it occasionally, not that often, but sometimes. But yeah, it's just gotten rough. Not the place you want to raise a family most of the time. Again, the problem with Baton Rouge is like the good parts of the city, like the suburban parts. They're shrinking, and over time, over the last 30 years, it's gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And so people's homes are depreciating. I would never buy a house in Louisiana either, because not in Baton Rouge. Yeah, I like crawfish. I eat crawfish every year. Every Easter we eat crawfish. What do you think of Tesla today? Tesla is down, but it went all the way up to 210s. It's had a really strong move over the last couple. It went to 220 at one point yesterday. So I think over 200 is great. I think if it can hold that, that's great. Okay, good. Does Tesla have any news? Let me see. All right, so yeah, the GameStop investor withdraws proposed class action against Keith Gill. That is news today. Again, I made a short, and the short was absolutely true. It was just like, how can they get mad at Roaring Kitty for just again, if the argument that's there is that if short funds are allowed to talk negatively about a stock and profit from their downfall, investors should be allowed. Warren Buffett does it all the freaking time. Investors should be allowed to talk positively about the stock, right? That's how it should go. If people can profit by saying negative things about a stock, they should be able to profit from saying positive things and growing a community around it. And I think there can't be that type of hypocrisy there. They need to be balanced with it. They can't, I know a lot of the big institutions are shorting, and so big money, controls things. And I understand that, but it looks bad for them to target people like Roaring Kitty or whomever else might be promoting a stock on a positive light. And again, and if GameStop, I would understand it a lot more if GameStop had a net downward trajectory, but it hasn't. GameStop is up a huge percentage from versus when Roaring Kitty started talking about it recently to where it is now. It's up a ridiculously large percentage. And so if GameStop had just broken down and turned into a $2 stock after Roaring Kitty, sold or whatever, that's one thing. But that's not what's happened at all. GameStop is much stronger now than it was before he did it. And so I think you got to allow that. I think the SEC has got to allow that. And they can't try to, for lack of a better word, pander to their big money friends by targeting people like Roaring Kitty. I think that's terrible. But it is what it is. I'm glad the lawsuit was dropped. Rate cuts and when that might potentially. Wait, are Tesla deliveries today? No, are they? Oh man. Okay. When do they drop? 9 a.m. Somebody help me out. When did they drop? When did Tesla's deliveries drop today? Let me ask AI. All right, AI is helping me out. I know 9 a.m. was what they showed up last time. Yeah. All right. So Tesla deliveries, guys. So it's at 9 a.m. We can cover the jolts later. All right. All right, so let's get this out of here. Yeah. You think you can spell good until you have to spell delivery. Then you're like, what? All right. That's up 24%. Sometime before the market opens, 8:30 to 9:30. Oh wait, already out? Deliveries lower than expected. Are they? China numbers lower than expected. Tesla is staying corrected. Oh wait, are they out? Let me see. If they're out already, I'll post it. But all right, so they delivered 40,000 or 450,000 vehicles this quarter, which exceeded Wall Street's estimates. Yeah, so here's it right here. I see it. It's out. They are out right now. Yeah, so they're out. So here's the Tesla delivery numbers. Yeah. All right, but Tesla hasn't really reacted to it, which is interesting. Like, look, so I'm gonna put up like GameStop here in this corner. Dude, I don't feel good, man. This sucks. So if they're out already, why isn't this big news? I would assume. All right, so Tesla sales of Chinese-made electric vehicles dropped by 24.2%, 71,000 units in June compared to last year, Reuters said, citing data from the China Passenger Car Association. The report said Tesla deliveries of their China-made Model 3 and Model Y videos also decreased by 2.2% from May. Shares of the company fell 1.6%. Yeah, but these are China numbers. Are they going to drop regular numbers later on? Yeah. Yeah, they're not out. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. So these are the Chinese numbers. The real numbers aren't out yet, but we'll put those numbers up on screen so you can see it. Here's Tesla. Tesla hasn't really moved much. They're a little choppy leading into everything. There's Tesla right here at 207s. Oh. Tesla sales of China-made EVs is what they're talking about. Put that up on screen there. Check it out. There again, here's Tesla. Dude, this sucks, man. Like, I can't believe I don't feel good again today. It's got to be a head cold. It's the only thing that makes sense. Yeah, 9 a.m. is when I'm pretty sure they came out. I covered them last time. I can't remember when they came out, but I covered them last time. Because this countdown is for Jerome Powell. You know, so this is a Jerome Powell countdown. So when Jerome Powell speaks. Yeah. So today we got Tesla deliveries. Let me fix this. All right, so there we go. Tesla sales of China-made EVs drops. The VIX finally make a move up today. Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen volatility. Again, the problem with most things right now, I think when you really look at it objectively, is that things are still around lifetime highs. And how long they're going to hold up there, I'm really not sure. But things are around lifetime highs today. And so it's an important day. We got Jerome Powell coming out later. It's got to be allergies. I took some Zyrtec. Maybe that'll help me. It's a head cold, dude. And my nose is so stuffy when I wake up that my throat hurts. So it could just be nasal drip and how that messes with me. Ugh. Like, I feel better outside, which is weird because, like, when I go outside, I feel great. When I'm inside, I feel terrible. Yeah, y'all want to see what's around me? Like, look, check it out. You know, you got all these freaking baskets and stuff up there. Yeah, Michigan's beautiful, though. It really is. Like, Michigan is really, really nice. I would live in Michigan. If I didn't like Texas so much, I would live in Michigan. $20 million cars by 2030 will not happen. Dude, this mic sucks. Is it really not registering this mic? Oh, that's terrible. Okay. Bear with me, Chad. Hold on one second. I'm trying to fix my mic. Let me make sure it's not one of these. What is going on, dude? So, okay, it's not picking up my mic, my good mic. I know this mic is terrible because this is this microphone here. Yeah, I've been getting sunlight. Hold on, chat. Let me route this thing. Okay. I know it's connected because there it goes. I know it's connected because the light is on my microphone. All right, so we're back. Yeah, I know. Listen, guys, I've been playing baseball with my kids for like freaking days and days. I've been playing baseball with my kids. My son loves it. My daughter loves it. I'm like a baseball guy in terms of like I watch baseball, but I also love to like the only sport I'm really good enough, except for maybe jujitsu, and I'm not really good at jujitsu, but I could teach my kids some stuff. Would be baseball that I can actually pass on to my kids. And I'm not even saying I'm like super good or anything like that, but I can hit and I can throw. And if I could teach my kids to do that, then I think sports helps kids stay out of trouble, man. People criticize sports or whatever, but like for Maddie and Jack, sports help them stay out of trouble. If they have something that they're working towards, they're building towards, sports help them stay in line, make friends, like not get in trouble, have a good group of like, you can't mess around if you're in high level sports. And so I think that's something I really want both kids to be into. Yeah, it looks like Rhythmic is struggling. I'm probably just going to cut out of Rhythmic here. Close. Yeah, we're just going to get out of Rhythmic, and then we'll probably get out of Telegram. No, it's not a cold. It's not a cold because, okay, I'm pretty sure I have like, I'm not even going to say what I have. Long, because I've been getting sick every week. Like every week and a half, I've been getting sick. Sometimes I've been spiking a fever of like 100 plus. Sometimes I've just been, and sometimes I just feel like body aches and cold chills and like, stuff like that. I went to the doctor. I got blood work done. All my blood work was negative. They did like the kitchen sink. They did everything. They did a HV test. They did like everything you could possibly think of. And it was all negative for the most part. I had mono as a kid. So I had mononucleosis. So that was still positive because you have that for life. But outside of that, I was good. I was healthy. They said I didn't even need to do anything, that all my levels were great. So it's really strange. It's really strange. Maybe allergies, but that doesn't really line up either. They say after you get the, that your immune system struggles for months, if not years afterwards. So maybe that's what this is. It's just been really weird. Definitely not going there, Ty. Are the Stros above 500? Did they win? Anyways, guys, Tesla down on the overseas numbers. Yeah, Astros at 43-41. I don't think it matters though, because our division. I mean, hey, dude, I haven't even been keeping track, bro. So the Astros got a shot. They just got to beat Julio Rodriguez and the Mariners, and we got this. Dude, somebody told me I sounded like Vlad TV the other day, and I can't unhear it now. Like, I can't unhear it. Like, at least how I sound in my head, I guess I could hear that, I think our accent is kind of similar as well, which is interesting. I don't know where he is from. Ukraine. He's Ukrainian. Interesting. Weather change, maybe. Right. Honestly, Detra, it's been strange, You do? Yeah, somebody told me that the other day, and I can't unhear it now. It's weird, man. I like it. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Beach? Hey, good morning, bro. All right, GameStop still breaking down. It's at $23. Again, Tesla, they had the overseas deliveries. The other universal deliveries are coming out for the US at 9 a.m., roughly 9 a.m., and we're going to cover that live. NVIDIA is gapping down basically with the rest of the market. If you look at the SPY here, the story of the market today is that the SPY tested lifetime highs again. Here's lifetime highs at 550. They tested it again. They came back down, but they're still around lifetime highs. So it's not like I'm getting in it's not like I'm buying in heavy on anything, really. I just don't trust anything enough to buy in super heavy. We'll see what Powell says today. Powell is set to talk about the economy with the ECB today. I'm getting ready for that as well, that coverage. Tomorrow, we have the Fed minutes report. We've got the JOLTS report, the job report today might cause choppiness. Honestly, what I might do is I might trade choppiness today. Like I might buy dips at the bottom of the ranges. Like the SPY down here, I'm going to buy this, I think. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and buy this. Let me pull this up. I'm just going to trade my real account with it. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to buy. I need more than this. Gotta get it on the bid. I forgot. All right, there's 100 shares. I could probably go with like another 125 shares or so. Way down here at the lows. Fail me. Okay, let's try and ask buy. There we go. All right, so we're in 230 shares of the SPY. We'll see what happens. Again, we're just kind of playing around here. Looking to attack choppiness because the market is kind of rangy on days where we got big news events and stuff like that. And so I'm okay with covering it. Yeah, I don't know what y'all are saying. Are you asking for money, bro? Hold on, dude. Okay, here, hold on. You gotta watch people. They'll beg for money. I can't imagine it would work. Like random people giving you money. Like nobody's gonna do that here. And honestly, you might just be some scammer overseas. And so I'm not giving anybody money. But let me see what you're saying. Share the money, please, he said. I'm from Indonesia. I can't tell if that's him asking for money or what. Lemon juice. Yeah. Here, I'm going to put up another 20 shares here just to get it an even 250 of this. All right, so we're in 250 shares of the SPY on toss. Let's see how this goes. Here, just to show you this trade here. We're like right around the low. I know we just cracked this low, but I'm betting on choppiness today. And if I lose 30, 40, 50 bucks, I'll be fine. GameStop's still struggling. Here's a question. Do you like this setup here? So I got 4 charts up right now. Do you like this setup better? I could do something like this at home where I got like a smaller chart up. Yeah, I mean, milkshake. I'm not talking about any of that, dude. Yeah, that is off limits. I'm not talking about any of that. Please do not talk about that here. I just have to keep my channel controversy free. And yep, if you talk about anything hyper political too much, I will ban you. It works, man. Trust me. I heard some very bad histories from people getting scammed. Very obvious. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna add another 50 shares to this. All right, we're at 542.90 average. It's at 542.75s. Yeah, they're the overseas numbers though, and so the real numbers drop at 9 a.m. for the U.S. Those are the ones you want to pay attention to. Wonder how many. I was curious. Like I always wanted a big account, and I never really use it. You know, so like I got a big account, but I don't ever really use it. 300 shares of $542. Oh wait, is 162K position. If I can make $30 from it, I'm happy. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. I'm trying to see where the ECB speaks, right? Let me use AI for this. Pretty sure it's live, and they're going to publish the stream on the website for the ECB as we get closer to the event. And as the event starts, they're going to go live. Okay, so the live stream is going to begin at 20 Central Eastern Time. time in Europe right now. 1:22. What time is 20 Central Euro time? 2 p.m. What? All right, we're up like 16 bucks. $19. Put a little third of the position up there if it hits it. There we go. Hit it. Do it. Do it now. Hit it. Do it. Drop it a little bit. There we go. All right, I just locked in a little bit of profit. Can anybody confirm what time? I'm in Central Time, or I'm in Eastern Time actually. All right, so we just locked in a little bit more, like kind of tweaking the entries here. We're up about 30 bucks. What? I thought the Powell speech was at 9:30. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure they are wrong. Other sources say the Powell speech is at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. You're wrong. Where will that be listed and what time? Well, let's start. Freaking AI, bro. All right. We're going to put the next 50 positions. So now we've taken enough profit here to where we're not super worried about it. If it turns on us, it's okay. Okay, yeah, 9:30 Eastern. Okay. Give me a link too. Here it is. Okay, I got it. All right. No, it's at 9:30 Eastern. That's when it is. It's at 9:30 chat. 9:30. Why would overseas numbers for Tesla be something that not be something to pay attention to? Who said nobody's paying attention to the overseas numbers? Did I say it? If I did, I mean, look, we pay attention to it, but the market's not really reacting much with Tesla, really. I mean, it's down a little bit, I guess. So maybe it is. But I guess my point is like the bigger numbers that are going to be more influential. Tesla's main market is where? It's in the United States. I know he's trying to crack the overseas EV market, but his major market is here in the US. And so in that regard, the US numbers are going to be the most impactful and important numbers. And those drop right at 9 a.m., regardless of what the overseas numbers are. Now, the overseas numbers are certainly not good. And I don't think anybody here is saying they're good. I certainly am not saying they're good. But, you know, if these other numbers come in positive, they might overshadow this. So we'll see. Yeah, all good. Again, it's all good here. Again, everybody's allowed to agree or disagree with me as long as you're not disrespectful, you know. And that mostly stems from like you get some people that they're just kind of off. They just maybe they're struggling with their own stuff, and so they lash out. And those people you got to ban. But everybody else, as long as you're respectful, it's all good here. I don't mind too much. I honestly like debating differing opinions. If you can't tell, like when I did the Myers-Briggs personality test, I got the debater personality, and so I don't mind debating. I don't think I'm bad at it either. I don't think I'm top 3 greatest of all time. I mean, I do think I'm top 3 greatest of all time, but yeah, I don't mind. I think it's good for people to hear differing opinions and hear both of those arguments play out. And as long as it's respectful, it's all good. Yeah, 2:30 in Portuguese local time. Gotcha. Any movement on Powell's speech? Yeah, we should move. I mean, he should talk about the market at least a little bit. You know, so we should talk about the market at least some. Did we just? Oh, okay. I was about to say, man, it said 280 views for a second. Now we're at 324s, 325. So I was gonna say, can you take a look at Chewy? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still in Chewy. I don't know if I sold any yesterday. I don't think I did. Let me see. I haven't even looked at my portfolio. I'm slightly down today. I mean, we're still pretty green on Tesla. We're holding Tesla too, so I don't know if I should take a little bit off on Tesla into the delivery numbers just to protect myself or what. What else dropped? So Nvidia, Palantir, PayPal, Roblox, Snapchat, SoFi, SoundHound, Spy. We're very green, or we're nicely green on the Spy. Target, we're green on Target. Okay, cool. What else are we at? Uber, Walmart, Tyson Foods, GameStop. We're still green on GameStop at least, but Google, we're very green. We're in Etsy, man. Etsy's had a bad run, and I guess I see it. Etsy is probably going to have less of a market over time. We're in Disney as well. Salesforce, CBS, Baba, Airbnb, Apple, Chewy. There's Chewy. So we're still very green on Chewy. I think we took a little piece off yesterday. Tesla numbers got baked in yesterday. Well said, debating is a healthy way to learn. 100%. I don't want an echo chamber here. And what I usually do is like I try to be open about it. Like I'm not super rigid. At least I try not to be. Like so if somebody says something to me and it makes sense, I'll agree that it makes sense and that it's useful. I'll admit when I'm wrong as well. At least I try to. Now I might not think I'm wrong a lot, but sometimes of course I am, and I try to be as transparent as possible if I am wrong. So yeah, but it's all good if you want to disagree, as long as you're not like. There's a difference between disagreeing and trying to stir the pot and cause drama. That's something where like over time of running a channel like this, you kind of lose patience for it. Is the easiest way to put it. Like you lose patience. You just kind of get rid of it if they're doing that. Because I think sometimes people like I think some people, right? Like I think some people, if you disagree with one thing, and especially if it's something that they truly believe, or if it's something that affects their bottom line. Like if I say I don't like a stock and somebody else is really heavily invested in said stock, they might get kind of weird. And sometimes what you see is people just kind of, once I disagree with them about one specific thing, if it's important to them, then they start to get really weird and be like, oh, this dude is arrogant, and then they just start kind of disagreeing with everything I say. Those guys are going to get banned too, because they need to have better emotional stability versus opinions on things. But most people are not like that. Most people are all good and easy going. All right, so we are dipping down a little bit. We're going from very green on the trade to flat. Yeah, but we're only at 150 shares, and I want to give this time to bounce more. Tesla rejecting at the 200 EMA volume weighted average price. That's what is dragging the market down a little bit right now. We'll see if it holds. Again, Chewy's there, Nvidia. Put GameStop up. Chewy corrected a lot. The other one that's down is Nike, and I am in a position in Nike. And so we'll see what happens there. Market scared of Powell? Maybe. Problem with people get personal. Once you get personal and start personal attacks, you have lost. Yeah, I mean, you start calling names. That's all it is. Yeah. At least I traded Chewy on the upswing. Hey, nice. Hey, as long as you made some money, you're all good, dude. I did put a peak of Tesla yesterday around 211 and at the Microsoft. Barrel. Yeah, Nike bounced back. I made money on Nike yesterday, but I'm down overall on my position. So it didn't really have like a huge comeback. The drop a couple days ago was so large that it doesn't really matter. Like it's such a big drop. We might add a little bit more to Nike though. I'll wait until like Powell speaks, but today I'm gonna be thinking about adding more to Nike. Maybe like a 25% larger position. I currently have about 75 shares of Nike. I'm thinking about doing like 100. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll have to sell some of this SPY trade, even though my accounts got well into six figures in buying power and actual equity, right? So they should give me day trading wise at least $250,000 in buying power, I think, right? So I think I'll have enough to add and keep that Nike position, but I might have to sell some more, or I guess I've liquidated some of this SPY trade already. I had 300 shares or maybe 250, and I sold 100 shares already of the SPY. So, and we're slightly green. We'll see what we get. Nike's back down a little bit today also. Yeah, there could be a timer in the top right that counts down to when Jerome Powell speaks. There might be. I'm not saying there is. There could be. There might be. The Astros, though, guys, I might have to go to some games this year. So they're crazy win this morning on a blotch play. It was crazy. I didn't see it. I got to look at it now. So, yeah, look at the SPY all the way back up. So we're back to green there. I got to look at this up now. Who were they playing? See, they were playing the Blue Jays. Let's see what they got. I want to see it. I was watching this at a sports bar yesterday. I was at a Cubs bar yesterday. And almost wore an Astros shirt, but I didn't. Do the Cubs still have Bellinger? I can't remember who plays on the Cubs right now. But yeah, GameStop cracked 23s and then bounced right back. Tesla's starting to rebound a little bit back to 207. We're still in the SPY. We're still sitting here. We'll cut a little bit more and get even 100 shares. I like the Jays too. I like Vlad Guerrero. I like Bo Bichette. You know, the Jays haven't been doing that great, you know, over the last few years, but I think, didn't they make it to postseason a couple times at least? Jordan hit that homer in the 9th inning to make it 2-0. Bottom of the 9th. Is that Josh Hader? Don't tell me it is. That looks like Josh Hader. Oh no, dude. They're giving. Is that Hader? Please don't tell me it is. Has he heated up this year at all? It is, dude. Honestly, I don't even have to see it, bro. Like Josh Hader has been one of the biggest freaking downfalls of closing pitchers I've ever seen. Dude used to be so legit, and now he's just giving up a run every hit. Yeah, I didn't see it. I see Astros beat the Jays 3-1. PayPal got an upgrade. I'm in PayPal right now. Error breakout. You've been explaining margin. I can't seem to get it. Why people use it, even though you have 100,000 in the account. I don't use it, right? So I don't use margin really like that. I mean, I might use it, I guess, sometimes, but it's mostly free for me to use. And so margin is just additional buying power that they'll give you if you're a reliable client. All right, look at Tesla fall here. Look at Tesla with the big candle. Trying to make sure these aren't the delivery numbers. No, I don't think they are. But yeah, I mean, okay, so there's a difference between a margin account and like a margin account means that you get instant settlement is actually what it does, right? So with a margin account, you get immediate settlement. So if I spend 1,000, if I buy 1,000 shares, that noise. Okay, SPY hit my position. If I buy 1,000 shares of a $1 stock, right? If I have a cash account it's going to take at least a day to get that $1,000 that I spent on that trade credited back to my account if it's not a margin account. If it's a margin account, when I click sell, I am credited that $1,000 immediately. Okay, that's what a margin account does, is it gives you instant settlement. And so I can spend $50,000 on a trade and immediately get that $50,000 back into my account to use when I sell that position. And so that's what a margin account is. A cash account, you actually have to wait 24 hours. And so if I have a cash account and it's $5,000, just as an example, and I take 5 $1,000 positions, I can't trade anymore that day. My whole positions are done. I can't trade. It's over with. I have to wait a day, at least 24 hours per the T1 rule, to get that $1,000 positions back in my account. And so what a margin account does is, yes, some of them give you leverage, but what a margin account actually is just instant settlement. It means that your funds are settled immediately as soon as you hit sell. Yeah, all good. Nice beat. Hey, thanks, bro. Yeah, so again, we've already taken a good bit of this trade. We got a little uptrend here. We're just kind of sitting tight. We got 100 shares left. I just want to see if this bounces back. Again, typically ahead of these big releases, we get numbers. Yeah, the Tesla delivery numbers are what's dropping pretty soon. Hey, Pawn, I got a question, bro. Okay, I see. Giving Disney some love. I'm in Disney. Disney is one of those trades where I don't mind holding. It's falling. I don't mind adding to this a little bit here as well. We'll add another 5 shares to it. I don't mind it pulling back. They got Star Wars stuff out. Like, I don't mind adding to them. And we've seen estimates such as those from Barclays and UBS have come in closer to the 415 to 420 range. Guggenheim analyst Ronald J moved his expectation to 419K from 409K. Yeah, Jerome Powell speaking after Tesla deliveries. That's good. We'll see how that goes. I'm excited for all of it. I got my charger going. All right, we're back. I'm wondering if this is like celiac disease. Celiac symptoms: bloating, gas, lactose intolerance, loose, greasy, bulky. No, that doesn't sound like me. Yeah, I don't think I have this. Let me see if acid reflux. GERD can cause symptoms that are similar to a cold or flu. Mm. All right. Yeah. So we're in the SPY here. Long. Little baby trade. I want to see if it bounces back, but it's kind of been staying choppy and sideways. Holland. Yeah, that's probably what it's really. Yeah, I just woke up this morning and feel sick again. Unfortunately, it sucks, man. I'm tired of being sick. It's weird too because nobody knows what it is. I go to the doctor. They say all my stats are normal. I can't tell if Elon's being serious on social media. He said our greatest dream is to send a spaceship to a planet. That also sounds like something else. All right. All right, so now we're all the way back down to flat again on this position. I don't know if I want to add more to it or what, or just kind of leave it here. Um, I still I still think we're gonna bounce. We'll add. I still think we're gonna bounce. All right, we'll take 200 shares. So we'll add. We'll get a better average and see what happens. There's Nvidia at 123s. What type of Powell's speaking at an ECB conference? Is what he's speaking at an ECB conference. Which platform, Blaze? Yeah, Rhythmic was going weird. Trade of 8 seems okay. All right, let's see if Tesla can fight back. Again, Tesla delivery numbers are supposed to be soon. Yeah, we got the JOLTS report at 10 a.m. We got a whole day list of stuff. We got Tesla deliveries, JOLTS report at 10, Powell at 9:30. Hopefully Powell's not speaking when the JOLTS report goes live, but I mean, if he is, it's all good. We'll still cover both of them, to be honest, and put both of them on the screen. And so on this channel, you'll be able to watch both, right? So we're going to cover Powell speaking, but when the JOLTS numbers show up, we'll post the JOLTS numbers below him speaking. So you'll still be able to see the JOLTS report go live with Powell, like when Powell speaks. Yeah, JOLTS is coming out. That's pretty big. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a gluten intolerance for me too. My son has done testing and he's gluten intolerant. And it makes sense. Like I think the argument um for gluten-free diet makes sense. Like usually I don't get involved with these fads and stuff. But I think the argument for gluten-free diets makes perfect sense because you have to think like what's the most foreign thing to the human body? Foreign things cause inflammation, and inflammation is the root cause of every other problem the human body faces. Is mostly due to inflammation in one form or another, like cancer, acne. They're all caused by inflammation, right? And so what causes inflammation is things that are foreign to the human body. Things that our ancient ancestors did not have access to, right? So like white flour would be that, right? If you think about what they did, they were hunter gatherers. So they walked around picking berries, eating lean meats mostly, and that's what they did. That's how they ate. And they also fasted. Like if you think about it, they didn't always have food. And so the natural state of the human body is to go sometimes days without eating. And so that's why fasting is so healthy and so many people around the world fast. Sometimes it's religiously, motivated, and sometimes it's not. But people still value fasting, and they should, because it mimics the natural state of the human body, which is that you're not always going to have access to food, and so that's the most similar to how our ancient ancestors behaved, and that's what's the most healthy for us. That's what causes the least amount of inflammation. And so going back to gluten, right? Like grains, like hunter gatherers didn't walk around eating grains. They didn't eat white flour, processed sugar. Like they didn't have access to all these things. And so what do those diets cause? Inflation. Like those diets cause inflammation, or not inflation. Those diets cause inflation, guys. No, those diets cause inflammation. And yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's the most foreign thing to us that we eat regularly is gluten. Like it's grains. All right, so we're actually red on this position now on the SPY here, Chad. So we're out technically red. Exercise-induced weed allergy. Yeah, so is it a rhythmic problem, Blaze, or did you say that already? Sorry. It's not that. So Blaze, if you say anything, like they ran into so many like weird stuff when they had those problems that usually they're pretty good though, Blaze, at it. So like usually the good thing about Apex is that they'll rectify it. Like if you lose money, they'll usually do pretty good at like giving you it back. All right, so we're in 250. We'll go ahead and take 300 shares here. I got in right at the lows. It really is going to depend on what the SPY. The SPY shouldn't crash now. Bad news go up, good news go down. No, I don't think so. I think delivery numbers are going to be important. Were there problems yesterday? I didn't really have many problems though yesterday. And I used both Rhythmic and Trade of 8. And so, and again, I'm not saying you didn't, of course. Like you certainly could have. I just know for me personally, and it's all good. So let me check Rhythmic. I can check Quant Tower right now. Let me see if I can get it to work. Big puts on Tesla calls. I'm trying to close. I got too many windows up. Exit out of this. Exit out of this. Exit out of this. Exit out of this. Get out of that. Get out of that. I can pull in Quant Tower up. Hopefully. SPY breaks 450 or 541. I think we could see 53 or 537s, maybe. I remember I did have a little problem of rhythmic cutting in and out yesterday. I would just go with Trade of 8 though. Like Trade of 8 has been okay. All right, let me try rhythmic here and see if I get problems. I'm connecting now. I'll let you know how it goes. Yeah, so I'm looking at everything now. U4. And I think we made money on our PA account yesterday. Let me see. 7 days. Oh man, so we are breaking down on this position here. I wanted to give it time. I don't mind losing a couple bucks here, but I'm not gonna hold this forever. Yeah, so we made yesterday. We made about $300. All right. We topped out for 2024 last week when the Nasdaq was at 20.2K. I don't know. Maybe. Possibly. Keep in mind that in July, the market tops. Yeah. All right, guys, we got 500 people here. Look at the SPY bounce all the way back. You love to see it. We're gonna go ahead and lock this in. So we're back to green again. I wanted to be patient, and we were. We had this big bounce back here, mostly from Nvidia rising back. Let's see on the rotor Teslas. Yeah, I saw a Cybertruck the other day. Honestly, even my wife was against Cybertrucks. She thought they were ugly. She thought they weren't cool. And yeah, she thought they weren't cool. And now when she sees one, she's like, "Hey, that's a genuinely impressive looking vehicle." And I think it is, man. I think they're just really cool. I think they're really cool. Anyone here got approved yesterday? Approved for what? Yeah, sorry to hear, Blaze. I really am, man. You know, again, you know me. They're sponsors of mine. I can't control what they do, unfortunately. So sorry, brother. All right, so we went ahead and took profit. We're up $30 here in this trade. Let's see if we get the other. No, bullseye, but I've never tried trading those. All right, let's do a poll here. With today's delivery numbers, and Powell's speech, does the market close red or green? red, green. John's cool. /C results. All right, guys. So vote on that poll. Let me know how you feel with today's Tesla deliveries and Powell's speech. Does the market close red or green? Red, green. John's cool. C results. Let me know what you guys think. Honestly, though, the good news about coming out here. So I came out to Michigan, right? I'm in Michigan. I haven't trained jujitsu in like a week plus. Honestly, my leg and hip pain are almost gone, right? My leg and hip pain are almost gone. I had like groin and hip pain, and it was terrible. Like it hurt. It's almost gone. My arm pain is getting better. So like I haven't been able to curl anything for months and months now. That's getting better. So maybe I should have just taken a break. Jiu-jitsu. Tesla will beat. I had to try again. Is NASDAQ down deep? So I'm in the NASDAQ long here with 100 shares of the SPY. Or not the NASDAQ, the SPY. The NASDAQ is the QQQ price action. Here's GameStop here. The NASDAQ is right here. You know, it's about 8 o'clock. So the Tesla delivery is dropping about an hour. About 1 hour. You hit the like button. Probably from overuse. Yeah, so I got my blood test done, right? And the only thing that was really high and everything else was normal was alkaline phosphatate levels, right? So, and those could be from a lot of different things. One of them is from like fractures in your bone. And so what my doctor thinks happened is that I might have had like a little mini fracture in my arm from getting arm barred, right? And that raised my alkaline phosphatate levels to a point where they're at now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take another 25 position shares off of this. There we go. All right, so we are out. Oh, wait, did I just... Okay. Yeah, we just took a little piece off. Oh, come on, Philby. Oh, it's okay. We'll leave that there. 125 shares left. But yeah, so maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's super high. Maybe I had like a little mini fracture in my arm. Or my hip/leg area. All right, so we got filled there. We are up a cool $40 on this trade. Kind of slowly, like kind of a long-term range-bound trade. Again, the reason I bought this dip here, chat, is because a lot of the time ahead of big economic days, we get choppy behavior. I'm not saying we always get it, but in terms of probabilities, I think it's a good risk-reward trade in which, you know, we could basically bet on a small little bounce back. You know, we can basically bet on like a small little bounce back. There we go. And get a high percentage trade here. You know, most of the time ahead of big economic days and stuff like today, we got Powell, we got Jolts, we got Tesla deliveries. And for the next hour, you know, a lot of the time leading up to these reports, we get stuff like this, you know? So again, I'm not saying that's what we're going to get. I have no idea what's going to happen, chat, but I think the edge is there. And I think it makes a lot of sense to attack chop leading into these major reports, because that's when a lot of us get choppy behavior. I'll take another 25 shares off, just kind of lock in the little gain here. We'll have to get out on the bid. There we go. All right, so we'll let the last 50 shares roll. I don't want to get a VWAP projection. Rest is amazing things. Yeah, I wish I was resting while I'm here. I'm definitely not athletic. I'm playing baseball right now, though. So we've been playing baseball while we're here. I'll put my Discord up. I'll be right back. I gotta go grab my headphones. Yeah, got you. Okay, that makes sense, Pawn. Yeah, all good. What's volume like on Friday with public holidays and U.S. employment news? So I think tomorrow will be the more interesting day, right? So tomorrow, the markets close at noon. But after the markets close, we got the Fed minutes. We've got, we got the Fed minutes report tomorrow. We also have the non-farm employment change data here. And so we actually have a bunch of stuff tomorrow. So we got the Fed minutes report. jobless claims numbers, services PMI data, and then we got the Fed minutes report after 2 p.m. So the Fed minutes report is dropping after the market's closed. I'm still going to watch it, cover it, live stream it like we always do, but it is dropping after the market's closed. And then Thursday, July 4th, the market's closed completely. You know, everything's closed, nothing's open. The futures market might be open, but it's not going to be any type of good trading action. Nobody's going to be here. But Friday, the day after the 4th. So Friday, the day after the 4th, we have the jobs report. We have the non-farm payroll report, payroll numbers and unemployment data coming out. And so that'll be a big day as well. So every day this week now is very, very, very busy, which is great. I love busy days. I love busy weeks. It's always good for business. But yeah. When I say rest, I mean give body time to recover by not overusing it. When I say not overusing it, like not doing repetitive motion. Yeah, well, I mean, listen, there's two areas of like pain that I usually have. One of them is in my groin / right leg, like right on my hip, like my pelvis, like my hip area. Hurts pretty bad on my right side. And again, that's probably from like guard. Like if you've ever done a trained jiu-jitsu, right? Holding somebody in guard is very like pelvis intensive, where, you know, you strain that muscle a lot. And if you're too stubborn, like my guard's okay, but sometimes I'm really stubborn with it. So sometimes I'll just kind of muscle through it and not let people pass and then try to reverse or whatever. And I think over time with repeated motions like that, that can cause some problems in your hips, you know. And then the other one is arm bars. Like I said, I'm really stubborn with arm bars. It's really hard to break my grip. Top 3 grips in the world, right? So my grip like this is very difficult to break. So usually higher belts can do it very easily though. But usually when they break it, they have to kind of like rip it. And I'm probably being a little too stubborn with this by not tapping earlier and just letting letting them tear my arm. But yeah. Again, we'll see. We're waiting for the Tesla delivery numbers. They're dropping in about. I'll go ahead and change the timer to Tesla deliveries. So yeah, I'll go ahead and change the timer. This one is for 8:30, but I'm gonna schedule it to 9, which is in about 55 minutes. All right, so here's Tesla deliveries. We changed the timer. Whoa, we changed the timer to this. There we go. And there we go. So there's Tesla delivery timer. Friday will be trash. I think we'll have some stuff going on. Just like 80% of traders fail, about 85% of the 530 people here have failed to hit the like button and or subscribe, chat. How dare you? Okay. Do it now. Try it one time. Might feel good. Do it now. All right, we got 550 here. Again, we got this little trade going on. I might also day trade a little bit right now. We'll see. So is Rhythmic really having that big of problems? Let me try. So we got our PA account here. Again, I'm kind of bet on choppiness. I'm gonna short this. See if we get a flush down. And if we get a bounce, we'll cut it. Rhythmic seems to be okay for me though. See, this is good for my investment here, bad for my funded account. We'll go ahead and take another risk. We'll add to it once. And then we'll get very close to cutting this. So this is a PA account, so I don't want to give too much back. We'll switch out of it. We made hundreds yesterday in this account, but I might be going a little overzealous early today. I think we have a nice little sideways choppy range that I want to take advantage of. That's why I'm shorting here. But again, I might be wrong. Do not copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. My SPY trade's doing well, so we're kind of hedging a little bit. Like this trade is doing okay, this trade is not, and that's all right either way. We will cut this trade though if we need it. And it looks like we're going to. We'll let it test this high right here. If it breaks the high, we'll get out. Yeah, we got to cut that. Too big of a bounce. We'll accept it. I don't know, slip maybe. Does Rhythmic have problems? Yeah. I mean, Trade Evade's pretty solid and used but a lot of different ones. I like Tradeovate. I originally I like Rhythmic but Rhythmic's had problems, so I kind of always trade Tradeovate for the most. Like I still have a bunch of accounts everywhere, but yeah. So I don't know whether I should sell here or what. Look at the Q. So the Q is still bouncing back here, which is good for me. I'll take this trade. Like one of them is a funded account. This is an actual account here. So all right. I'm gonna go ahead and lock this trade in. All right, so not a bad little trade to start the day. We made, a little bit in this account. Did we get ourselves to green on toss? We should be close. We're flat, which is fine. We were down $50 to start the day. T-Bill finally coming back. Spy. Soundhound. Do y'all think Soundhound will ever come back? I guess is the question. I don't know. We don't have anything drop at 8:30 either. All right, so red 49%, green 44%. John's cool. See results at 7%. Yeah, Rhythmic's been having issues, unfortunately. Sound AI company, end of July. I think Soundhound could be it. Yeah, but what is McDonald's doing with Soundhound? Is this Tesla delivery data already out? No. So we had the Chinese numbers that came out much earlier. So we had the overseas numbers that drop, and again, those are the numbers you see on screen. They dropped by 24.2% overseas to 71,000 units roughly in June compared to last year. Reuters said on Tuesday, citing data from CPCA, other delivery numbers are dropping live at 9 a.m. And we got the countdown here for those numbers on the top right of the chart. Yeah, so we got about 15 minutes unless they drop them early. So I'm trying to feel better here. Yeah, so the Tesla numbers are dropping in about 15 minutes. Markets are still bouncing back, so the choppiness did play out. Maybe we should have taken a choppy trade on the other one. Try. We got about 50 minutes. Yeah, about 50 minutes. Rhythmic seems to be fine today, though. All right, so I don't think we have anything dropping at 8:30 either today, right? So today is so nothing at 8:30. We got Powell at 9:30. But... Yeah, Yoko, I've never seen you before, bro. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, if you have problems with Rhythmic, just use Tradeovate. Apex is great, and they're, again, the good thing about Apex is that you can check the payouts. So you can actually check Apex payouts. I think you have to go. Who's Matt? Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. So look at this big bounce in Nvidia over to 123. The Q just moved. We're still waiting for the Tesla delivery numbers now. Wait, so did they really change the DCA? I'm a frequent chatter, not a troll. You haven't spoke at all in the last 10 days on the channel, sir. So again, forgive me for being skeptical. There's a lot of people that just want to talk about like negative things, and of course, like Apex is a sponsor of mine, right? And so people that might want to just kind of like cause issues might create fake accounts. And again, you haven't said anything in days, so I mean, I've never seen you before either. Anyways, what is the new rules now? So you can DCA into a loser. You don't lose the money, but your payment won't process that time. What does that mean, coin? I'm curious. I know, but Yoko, you went from saying, "Hey, I'm a frequent chatter," to then saying that you don't chat at all. So again, forgive me for being skeptical, brother. And again, it's all good. But yeah, we're gonna talk about the stock market, guys. If you know anything else is unnecessary. Tesla going down. Yeah, so Tesla, they're waiting on delivery numbers. I would assume Tesla's gonna be choppy and sideways. So we got up, down, up, down. Yeah, it seems like people are mad about Rhythmic more so than Apex itself as well. Like Apex can't control what happens to Rhythmic. They really can't. Like they can't. And I know the last time we had problems, right? The last big week where we had problems there, what happened was that Rhythmic was down universally, not just on Apex. And then so many of Apex's users then went to Tradeovate that it kind of congested Tradeovate, right? And caused some data feeds there. And so it is what it is, you know. What kind of snakes you got? What do you think of? Yeah, I don't know anything about that one, Saint. We'll see. But again, I think Tesla's going to maintain choppy behavior leading in to this delivery numbers. The delivery numbers drop at 9 a.m. Powell speaks at 9:30, and we're going to stream that live. Yeah, for sure. And again, I'll talk with my connects to see if they could do better, Blaze. But of course, like their sponsors of mine, I can't control any of it. You know, of course, I always try to be as honest and transparent as I can. They're sponsors of mine. You know, of course, I'm going to have bias for them. You know, but I also, you know, promote like, yeah. So it's all good. Well, no, they changed that rule, the DCA rule, along like a couple months ago. Burmese python. Burmese pythons are fun. I always like ball pythons, but ball pythons get really stubborn when they eat. Growing up, mostly I had corn snakes. I had like corn and milk snakes. Those are the best snakes to have. They're pretty friendly. They're not super difficult to feed, and they're beautiful snakes. To be honest, I had a corn snake named Hercules I got for Christmas one time when I was like 7. Love snakes as a kid. My dad and I used to go snake hunting where we wouldn't hurt the snakes, but we wanted to catch them for pets, right? We would go catch snakes for pets. Love snakes. Well, it depends on the only time people are that are having problems. So again, let me look this up. Uh, Yeah, guys. Again, so people are saying they're having problems with withdrawals. Here's all the approved withdrawals, guys. So again, like, look, like what I hear is mostly gossip. Okay, and again, I don't know, but like, look, July 2nd, 3K, 2K, 750, 750, 750, 750, 750. 11 23 1964. These are all withdrawals that are being processed. So here's just July 1st, right? So this is yesterday. All right, so yesterday, just July 1st. July 1st. July 1st, right? So again, these are all from yesterday, guys. All of these payouts, 3-4 pages of processed approved payouts. So like acting like they're not paying out here. I mean, look at this. You know, it shows you the state. You can find this on their Discord. Shows you their name. Like we're at 6 pages of payouts that were approved yesterday and that are going out. And so acting like they're not paying people out is just not true, guys. It's just not true. Hey, again, you can go to their Discord and check it out. But yeah. That guitar with you? What guitar? Kind of wild. 8-inch. I don't know what that is. Jolts at what time? Jolts drops at 10 a.m. MicroStrategy being heavily shorted. Is it really? Where's Bitcoin at right now? I haven't really looked. Let me pull up Bitcoin. Bitcoin at 63,000. So Bitcoin's bouncing back. I know like Mara and Riot are Mara and Riot are up a little bit today, but when Bitcoin's bounced, but it's still kind of slow. GameStop again struggling a little bit here. They've been struggling. We got 40 minutes left until the Tesla deliveries also. Chipotle gonna have a good day. Yeah, I use Trade Evade as well. Trade Evade hasn't had as many problems as others. But yeah, I've never heard of that either, Sam. I like the Alpine snakes. Or not the Alpine, the albino corn snakes are cool. I had one of those too. It's a Tesla delivery. So Tesla delivery numbers drop quarterly. So every quarter Tesla drops delivery numbers. Today is when their next delivery number drop happens. Now they've already posted some stuff from overseas. You can see drop by 24% overseas to 71K roughly in June compared to last year, citing the CPCA data. Other delivery data is again drop at 9 a.m. We got about 40 minutes for that. And then Powell speaks at 9:30. We're going to stream that as well. You're benched. Okay. July is one of the best months of the year for the stock market. Yeah. AMC very volatile also. Yeah, I haven't really looked. I don't know. I think June, July, and August are kind of quiet months, right? I think they were kind of, let me see. What are the worst months for the S&P? I think June and July. So the best months are March, April, May, July, and October, November, December. Worst months are January, June, and September. Okay, so yeah, July is actually a good month for markets. But again, May, go away in May is a thing. And I think May actually had some really good price action this year, right? So again, here's May. Let's find it. It's 5. So May was here. Yeah, May started here. And then markets moved up in May for once. So go away in May wasn't a thing this year. So we'll see about July. I don't know the thing about July, but He's speaking with the ECB, Barry. Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of like battling going on with prop firms right now. You know, if both of them are smart, um, what's good or bad for one is probably good or bad for all. Okay, and so trying to battle each other publicly, as much competitiveness that might be there between them, is a dumb move in my opinion. Right? Why is it a dumb move? Because like it negatively reflects the industry as a whole. And so I think all these prop firms need to be smart enough to realize that. You know, they need to be smart enough to realize that what's good for one is good for all of them. What's bad for one is bad for all of them, and that, yeah, and it's unnecessary. It's dumb, and it'll make the whole industry look bad. You know. Go away, May is brought to you by market makers. Yeah, honestly, I don't listen to anybody in terms of like, we get you get people promoting different things. Like I said, again, one thing I always bring up is like the big banks were telling everybody how bearish things were here, right? Like everybody was saying the market was going to crash right here, and a lot of people in this YouTube live stream said it too. They were telling me the market was going to crash, and I had a contrarian mindset, and that mindset ended up to be correct. So I was kind of contrarian about this. Oh, I thought the market didn't have to crash; it could bounce and rip, and it did. It went 24% in 2023. One of the biggest bull years we've had in a while, right? And so, go away in May. I don't hold too much weight on those things. Yes, I watch for it and we pay attention to it, but a lot of this is going to depend on the economy anyway. Like a lot of this is going to depend on economic data and all that stuff. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens there. Right? Like the petty beefs need to stop. Like I think anybody can see. You got to listen to Powell. Yes, definitely gonna listen to Powell. Again, Tesla's still sideways at 206. We're still waiting for yeah, we're still waiting for this to drop. Again, there's the SPY at 540s right now. Did bounce back. We did profit from that bounce back here too. And again, the Tesla delivery numbers are dropping soon here, Chad. They're dropping soon. We're still waiting for them to happen here, but we got so much stuff. Tesla Q2 deliveries. Why isn't it letting me see all the results, dude? What? All right, guys. So yeah, we do have Powell speaking today too. All right. Weird. All right. Landfall. All right, Tesla down at 206.30s here, chat. 206.30s. All right, guys. Again, Nvidia at 123s here. We're not getting any lag, are we? We shouldn't be. Powell's at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Delivery numbers are at 9 a.m. So delivery numbers at 9 a.m. Powell speaks live at 9:30, and we're going to cover both of those in live in chat. NCLH, what is that? Norwegian Cruise Line? Is that what it is? I'm trying to think of what it is. Landfall. Powell talking about. No, I think he's talking about every economics countrywide. So I'm pretty sure he's talking about economics countrywide, but I'm not 100% sure. Leon Edwards or Bilal. I hope Edwards. Bilal seems like a good dude though, but he's just not the most fun to watch, right? So I hope Edwards wins because he's more fun. But I mean, I think Bilal actually has a bigger shot than people give him credit for. He's really good at takedowns, really solid takedown defense. And so I think he's got a better shot than people give him credit for. Hollow, so talking about penny stocks. So yeah, the SPY bounced back. Part of me wants to short this. So we'll probably short in futures here. Yeah, Bilal's solid. He's good. I give him credit. Not the most fun fighter, but still fun to watch. All right, guys, we got 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes left until the Tesla delivery numbers drop live right here, guys. Be ready. Yeah, I'm thinking about shorting here. I don't know what I want to do. We got 500 votes already. Again, a lot of the time, days where we have economic data like this are very sideways and choppy and neutral, and we don't have any good stuff. I'm not saying that's going to happen today, but that's what I'm kind of expecting, I guess, here. So we're going to cover the report. So we're going to drop the report live. So we'll post the link to the Tesla delivery numbers as they happen on the Tesla delivery site. On the investor relations site is where it's going to show up. We're going to cover this as it happens here, chat. As it happens, it's going to be in the press release section. So yeah. Again, we'll cover this as it happens. Are they trying to make me sign in to a Tesla website? No, I don't want to sign in. All right. Good morning, chat. All right, guys, we got Tesla deliveries. The sun is out on my end. Still waiting. Tesla delivery numbers drop in about 25 minutes. Yeah. All right. So again, we got a couple minutes here, chat. A couple minutes. Be ready. All right, still waiting on these numbers here, chat. Anything else that y'all see good today? I'm looking at data. All right, so how about House of the Dragon? Rob Dance has got to be one of the most. Is this ironical? I'm sick of hearing this from my employees. Can I leave early today? I'll be late in the morning. My child is sick. Can I rush off? I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Is that okay? I'm going to be late from lunch. I've got some things to sort. I don't care. If he says I don't care about like them doing those things, that's fine. But he better not be criticizing them for doing it, I think is the point. So we are short here on a funded account. We just took some profit off at the top. We are currently in our funded account here where we are up about 300. Let's go ahead and take a little bit more off there, locking that in. Let's see where else we're at. This is a funded account on Apex. We're doing okay here. I'm going to add some more to this thing. Yeah. There we go. Boom. Take half off there. Lock that in. There we go. We're close to flat on the day now. I don't know if I want to add more to this. Go ahead and cut that too. I have a bad fill on the rest. So writing this down. Could be worse. All right, we're out. There we go. All right, so that was our same funded account we've been trading all morning. Yeah, you can't add into a trade on Apex. Yes, you can. You can't add to a losing position multiple times in a row is the rule. So you can't, from my understanding, again, you want to check with them first, but from my understanding is you can't add to a losing position more than once, right? And it needs to be of similar size that you have. You can't basically triple your size adding into a loss. The way you get around it, though, is you just sell and then re-enter with larger size if you want. But again, I'm not sure if they have a rule against that. But if you have a profitable trade, you can add to that profitable trade, as I just did. I'm pretty sure, right? I mean, you know, again, and to be fair, I've got one account sitting with 3,000 or 3,000 roughly in profit that I'm waiting to withdraw. I've just been busy, and honestly, I don't need the money, you know. And so, like, I have an account ready to withdraw. I just don't need the money, and I think I have to change one of my names in terms to get a payout. The reason I haven't gotten a payout is because I have to change my business name. There's with payouts, there's a business issue there that I have to change the naming for it or something. So that's all it is. Yeah, you can add to winners. Right, it's a loophole. Yeah. All right, guys, we got 20 minutes before the Tesla delivery numbers here. Again, when is the compelling 25K compact cheap EV from Tesla arrive? Millions in Europe don't care about robo or cyber, but will order overnight when Elon jumps that with 1 million units a year car. Yeah, I mean, I might buy one if he had a 25K one. I don't even need a car. But if Tesla puts out a 25K vehicle, I might buy it. The robo taxi also super interesting. So I'm not sure how they're going to use the robo taxis, but I think, again, I've said this before about Tesla. I'm going to say it again. Okay, I'm going to say this again. Tesla, they sell a lot of cars. Tesla, they sell a lot of cars, sure. But I think one area of their business that's going to pay dividends long term is their FSD, full self-driving aspect of it. I think when you look into the future objectively and you pay attention to the increases in technology and the evolution of technology, really, one thing that's very, very clear is that eventually we're going to have full self-driving cars. And if Tesla positions themselves correctly, they're on the very front of that, especially with their robo taxis and stuff like that. And that is something I think is going to benefit Tesla massively long term. But they got to get it done. I don't know if it's in 2 years or 20. I think that's the future. And I think when people see people driving in FSD cars, they're going to start driving in them more and more. We're going to get broad adoption, and the infrastructure is going to be built. And there's always kind of roadblocks and hiccups for infrastructure, but eventually it's going to get there. And if Tesla's smart, they will stay in the front of that because that will pay them dividends long term. And again, we'll see. We'll see, chat. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, they're a tech company. A tech company, I mean. Would you farm out your car at night to be a robotaxi? I wonder how long that takes to come to fruition. I would buy a car as an investment and let people rent it out, especially if it's a 25. Or I don't know how much it would be. That's something I'm paying attention to because I wouldn't mind that investment where I could buy one, let people use it as a taxi, and I don't even need a car like that. All right, so we're gonna mute the background. All right, Tesla delivery numbers dropping soon, guys. We also have Jerome Powell live, Jolts report going live too. So be ready. It's almost here. Coming soon. Watch for. All right, so we're pulling down a little bit. Tesla bouncing up. You'll know when the delivery numbers are out because Tesla should have big bursts in price, either on the upside or the downside. All right, so Tesla bouncing up. All right, so sorry, we had to produce a little short here. Let me get rid of that. 10 a.m. Yeah, so Jolt's report goes live at 10. Jerome Powell speaks at 9:30. The Tesla delivery numbers drop at 9 in about 20 minutes. Right, that is today. That is the story of the day. Yeah, that's the story of the day. All right, so there goes Nvidia breaking down a little bit here. Tesla was flat the last time I checked. Yeah, well, Tesla's going to move sideways leading into this report until the numbers drop. I think that's something that's very clear. Tesla's going to go sideways leading into this report. That's not a shock. Again, if you guys haven't heard my system that I've been using really for the last few weeks, the system that I've been using is very simple. The system that I've been using is very simple. I basically I wait for choppy behavior. to be a big edge, right? What I mean by that is like I probably said that wrong. I wait for days where we have big economic releases in Tesla, Jerome Powell. Today's one of those days where we got jolts, Powell, Tesla delivery numbers. The probability that we're going to get sideways choppy action leading into this is very, very, very high in my opinion, right? I'm not saying anything's going to work 100%. Nobody freaking knows. Anything could happen, anything can happen. It's never definitive. But I think in terms of probabilities, sideways action is very probable leading up to this report. If you look at Tesla here, Tesla's been doing what? It's been moving down slightly, but it's mostly been in like a really neutral range. If you look at the market itself, right? This is what I've been playing here, up, down, up, down, up, down. So what I've been doing is I've been buying around the lows and riding these big bounces back and then selling at the top. That's what I did here. And this is a strategy and a system that I have been using for months now, and it's very powerful, I think. Like, I think a lot of people want the excitement of momentum and like drama and all this stuff going on. But honestly, I think trading sideways neutral activity ahead of big economic reports and big numbers has a really high edge. It's just really probable, especially days like FOMC meetings where we have an FOMC decision and press conference. A lot of the time leading up to those days, which is in the afternoon, is when the report drops. The markets are very sideways. And if you short the top, buy at the bottom, stuff like that, it works genuinely well. But of course, I can't guarantee it's going to work for you, but that's the system I've been using. Yeah, I mean, Tony, I'm not talking about on the day. I could isolate any time frame and say, oh, it's not sideways. We're up huge on the year. I could say, oh, I could put a weekly chart and say over the last few years we're up big. We're not sideways. Or I could zoom in, which is what I did, and look at a 1 minute chart and see, hey, over the past freaking what? Since 3 a.m., the SPY has done this. That has been the movement since 3 a.m. I'm not talking about on the day. I'm not talking about this gap down. What I'm talking about is for the last 4 or 5 hours, we've had choppy action. You know, um, yeah, it ain't no offense to you, but I never understood why. Like, I'll be like, hey, the market's up the market's up short term, and somebody will say, look at what it is on the day and say, no, the market's down. And it's like, yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about more isolated short term, and I think that's really self evident as well. Tesla deliveries really going to move it much, though? I think so. Last time they did. Last time Tesla delivery numbers dropped, they were pretty big. Uh, you know. So here, let me get back to this. I might mute the music real quick again and just kind of send this guy that I'm, working on some shorts. Let me make sure. Yeah, music's muted. Okay, cool. All right, guys. So again, we got 12 and a half minutes, guys. 12 and a half minutes. Well, Jerome affect commodities. He'll probably affect the S&P and the Nasdaq. Whether he affects like oil and gold, he'll probably affect gold some at least as well. But again, we don't know for sure. Will we cut rates this year? All right, so we're right at the VWAP for the SPY. Tesla's down to 206. We've got 12 minutes left. Give me your last minute predictions on Tesla deliveries. Do you think Tesla comes out higher or lower than expected for deliveries? Higher is, of course, better. Lower is obviously worse. And again, we'll see what happens. All right. So All right. So all right. All right, guys. Hey, we got 10 minutes and about 30 seconds left. Looking at the chat. I don't know anybody else buying a vehicle right now. Nike going back to 96. I work in automotive manufacturing, and apparently car sales are down and panic is setting in with the company. Interest rates are high. 24 more tires. Lower but decent. 427. Higher, a little bit higher, lower, lower. Rate cut before election? I don't know, man. I don't think so. It depends on what the economic data shows up. But all right, so we're gonna get the music back up here. Let me see. There we go. Elon said that the numbers wouldn't be great for a while because of the inflation. Just so my gas guzzling truck. I hope we say Tesla ripping today. Maybe. Hey, we'll see. How are delivery numbers? I don't know anybody buying a vehicle. Bitcoin always pumping like before Powell. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Powell speaks at 9:30, so we got 40 minutes left until Powell speaks. And it should be a big report, like a pretty heavy report. Again, the Tesla delivery numbers drop right now, basically at 9 a.m. or not right now, in about 9 minutes. And then after that, we get ready for a big Papa Jerome Powell speech. Here we go. Again, you'll know when the delivery numbers are out because Tesla will move. I hope they come out sometime in pre-market. They're technically scheduled for 9 a.m. and we're on the Tesla website, but who knows, man? Again, I guess in theory they could come out later. Time will tell. Do you trade off the 1 minute? Sometimes. It depends, right? Like I'm looking at a number of different directions, if that makes sense. So like this is one chart that you guys see. I have another chart background that I usually look at like a 5 minute, a 10 minute, 20 minutes, stuff like that. Printer go burr. I mean, they haven't been doing a ton of money printing this year. Or no, I'm sorry. Let me retract that statement. They've done QE and money printing this year. They haven't right now. They're in the opposite though. They're not in QE currently. They are currently in QT, quantitative tightening, and they're slowing QT down. But they're not printing money right now. What do we mean by this? So again, for those that don't understand, the Fed has two major ways to combat inflation and economic weakness. They have two ways to control the economy. One of them is by raising rates. The other one is by lowering rates. And they do this for a few different ways, by either directly raising the federal funds rate, which is short-term rates. Eventually it'll trickle into long-term interest rates like mortgages and auto loans and lending in general. But, they also can cut federal funds rate and lower rates, raise rates. They do these if the economy is at risk for one thing. If the economy is at risk for inflation, they'll put interest rates really high. And this discourages spending. When you're spending less money or when you're paying more in mortgages and auto loans and stuff like that, you tend to spend more, and that discourages spending, pushes the economy down a little bit. And as the economy gets pushed down, inflation in theory drops, right? So that's what's called a hawkish Fed, when the Fed is keeping interest rates high to try to discourage inflation and spending. The other one is a dovish Fed, right? Which is when they're cutting the federal funds rate, they're bringing interest rates down. They're doing quantitative easing, which is a form of money printing where they create banknotes and they use those notes to buy bonds and government assets, usually in financial assets. And they do this to influence spending, to help spending. If you bring interest rates really, really low, people tend to spend more money. because they're spending less in mortgages and auto loans and stuff like that. And QE and QT is the same thing as, or QT is the opposite of QE in a way. It's not direct QT, which means like selling bonds, but it's stopping buying bonds and letting current holdings mature and run off. And so those are the two ways the Fed controls the economy. There's also a middle ground where they can what's called pause interest rates, which is what we've been in for the last like year straight. The Federal Reserve raised rates. Now they're pausing rates at these high levels. The question now, though, is that when is the Fed going to cut rates? Cutting rates is a more dovish thing, meaning that the Fed is less likely to, the Fed is trying to keep interest rates low and push them down. So it's a more dovish thing. But who knows? I don't think we should cut rates anytime soon because, again, inflation can spiral out of control and prices are up so much over the last 5 years. We can't really deal with them going up more. I think that's a bad thing for them to go up more. I think we have to control inflation first and make sure we get it to a reasonable level and to where it holds at a reasonable level. Because if we cut too early, it can spiral inflation worse. So we just got to be smart there. Anyways, Tesla delivery scheduled for 5 minutes from now. 5 minutes. I believe rates are getting cut soon. Now September. Yeah, September is not this month, but next month. Or not this meeting, upcoming meeting, but the next meeting. Do you trade the 1 minute to do choppy action? Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, we'll see about money printing. I hope so. I'm in SoFi. Is SoFi moving up? Somebody said. I think I'm still in it. Let me see. I was in it. I don't know if I still am. SoFi's not going up. SoFi's down. I'm still in it, but we're pretty much flat. Yeah. All right, guys. We got about 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes. Let's do this. Also, we're going to throw this thing in sub-only mode, so if you have not already subscribed, chat, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Waiting for the Tesla delivery numbers dropping at 9 a.m. here. Supposed to drop at 9. Tesla surprises. Yeah, we're in sub-only mode. Everybody announce yourself. Show us you're subscribed. We appreciate it. And again, as we said earlier, the SPY's pretty much flat. Look at this. Same range. You know, like this is why I attack choppiness on big economic report days, guys. I detailed the strategy earlier. This is why. Is because the edge is so high, man. Like why? Look, and I get it. I get it. I know a lot of people chase momentum. And so they want the excitement of a breakout. I think if there's a reliable sideways range, that's powerful, you know. And again, the other part is like your risk levels are super easy. If it breaks out of this range, you know, cut it, get out. You could re-enter if it starts to look choppy again. But I think it makes sense. Good luck, everybody. I didn't even know Powell's today. Yeah. So again, subscribe, guys. We cover Powell every single time he speaks. Tesla delivery numbers. Right, exactly, Blaze, 100%. And if you could be patient and wait for it, I think it makes a lot of sense, bro. It's been one of my favorite strategies lately to use in stocks. I did it today on the SPY and on some of the funded accounts. I made a little bit on my actual TOS account here. But yeah. Again, if you haven't checked out Apex, Apex is a funded account program in futures. If you want to day trade with me, same choppy strategy I use here. Try a funded account program. Apex gives you a demo in futures, and you can trade the SPY price action in futures in the E-mini S&P. There's no PDT in futures. The patterns are very similar to blue chip stocks, and Apex limits your risk. They give you a demo account, and if you could pass the test with a demo account, and they have demo accounts ranging from 25K up to 300K, and the base one is a 25K. It's 35 to 40 bucks a month. If you can make 1,500 in profit on the demo without losing 1,500 first and following their rules, they fund you 25K with a 90% split. If you lose, you're only out 30 or 35 bucks. And so it creates this best of both sides scenario where you have limited risk. If you lose, you're out 30, or you're out 35 to 40 bucks a month. But if you pass it, you get 25K in funding with a 90% split. You also get to keep your first 25K in profit. And for the time being, if you use my coupon code, you can get the 150, the 250, and the 300K challenges for the same price, around 35 to 40 bucks. Again, you just got to use my coupon code BT Beginner Trading. Check it out. I'll put the link up. Again, they're a sponsor of mine, though. I'm biased in their favor because they pay me money. And so they pay me money. I'm biased. Always understand that. I'm always trying to be transparent about that. Understand the CFTC 4.41 hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations, all that good stuff. Understand it. Also understand that I do trade off stream. I'm not even claiming to be profitable or a good trader. I do trade off stream. You're not going to see all my trades. Not an investment professional. I'm one of the top 3, might be one of the top 3 worst traders of all time ever in the world right now. And so again, if you want to check them out, here's the link. Great way to help support the channel. We appreciate it. There's the link right there. You can also play both sides of the stock when it's choppy. Yeah, for sure. I think it makes perfect sense. Well, yeah, so the Robotaxi event is in August. We're waiting on that too. All right, guys, 1 minute left, chat. 1 minute here. 1 minute. Be ready. Yeah, I think this is a little bit early too. So I'm going to pause it and do a countdown myself here. Chat, I'm going to pause this and do a countdown myself. There's Tesla, Nvidia, the SPY. We'll put the Tesla chart up big here. And then maybe put like a larger chart, a longer term chart, maybe like a 5-minute chart here. All right, guys, here we go. We got 25 seconds left, chat, until they're scheduled to be released. 25 seconds left. You should see when they're out if they come out at the 9 a.m. time, because you'll see volatility on Tesla's part. All right, here we go. 10 seconds left. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. Again, we'll see if they drop right now or not. All right, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they should be live. Let's see. Let's check. Checking their site. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, Tesla just ripped up here. Wow, the 211s, 212s. The delivery numbers are out. The delivery numbers are out for Tesla. Let's see what they showed up as. All right, so they went all the way up to 210. All right, so they showed up, guys. Up over June, deliveries a year ago. Yeah, so again, I'm looking up these numbers now. All right, so Tesla went all the way up to 210s and back down to 209s. Wow. All right, so here they are. So they hit 440. They did 410.831 in production. We're looking at their site now. Again, they did 410.831 in production. Deliveries came in at 443.956. And so, yeah. Tesla reacting very positively to this. It's dragging the rest of the market up. In the second quarter, we produced approximately 411,000 and delivered 444,000 vehicles. We'll put this up on the screen so you guys can check it out. Yeah, so good for them. Put this up on screen, chat. What do you guys think? Let's see if it holds, man. I'm for it. 411K vehicles. Again, we're at 213s now. Tesla loving life right now. That's great. That's great. We should be actually green on the day, I would assume now, huh? Yes, we are. Cool. Tesla. With a nice little bump here. Nice little bump. Tesla continuing to drag the rest of the market up. Tesla at 214s, guys, 215s. We got Jerome Powell coming out live in about... Jerome Powell going out live in about 25 minutes. All right, about 26 and a half minutes, I would say, right? Yes. All right, so here is the Powell meeting. 26 minutes. Tesla loving life right now. And again, I'm going to put this back up on screen so you can see it. So Tesla delivery and production numbers, they came in 411K in production, 444 and deliveries. Props to Tesla. Good results here. Big move. We love to see it. Again, we got Big Papa Jerome Powell going live. I'm gonna get out of Quant Tower. Make sure I'm not in any trades. Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna close Quant Tower just to get rid of too much stuff going on in the background here. Probably gonna get rid of Epic Pen for now too. Sorry, Epic Pen. Sorry, I'm putting the task manager up so I can get rid of Epic Pen here. Sorry, bro. Time to go. But yeah, Tesla doing great. Yeah, see if they continue. All right, we got Powell going live soon. Yeah. No, it's a good result. 450 was expected. They thought it'd be much lower, and I think, yeah, deliveries at 444. It's basically neutral, and I think that's great. Of course, Tesla's not a scam. Come on now, bro. Yeah, Tesla's not a scam, of course not. All right, guys. All right, we're getting ready. Look at Tesla continue to rip up here. It's at 217s. 217s. All right, so we're going to go ahead and exit out of some of this background stuff. Keep it tight. Exit out of this toss chart. Get this out on the screen. Yeah, I mean, Dundee, to be completely honest, brother. So Dundee says if you trader correctly and took a short because it was overbought for the last week, you got burned. That's why all of you will eventually lose to the market. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, brother, like let me just be completely honest with you. It genuinely sounds like you don't understand the nuance of the market. Have you ever heard the saying, like, listen, there's buy the rumor, sell the news. Okay, that's one of the sayings. The other thing to understand is that, like, the biggest sucker bet in the market, guys, and again, the biggest sucker bet you will ever get involved with in financial markets is betting against the S&P, the NASDAQ, and blue chip stocks long term. That's one of the biggest dumb bets you could ever do. Why? Because the market's going to go up long term, and people that fight against that edge genuinely just have no idea how to manage this, right? It really shows a genuine lack of understanding about markets, because again, guys, markets typically are going to go up over time, Tesla included, most likely. Now, we don't know for sure, nothing's definitive, but like, you're acting like the delivery numbers came in lower than expected, so the market has to go down, and that comes from a fundamental misunderstanding about reactions and the nuance of this market, right? If the market was that easy, everybody would be rich. If I could sit around and wait for earnings to come in better than expected and just buy long, everybody would be rich. I could just sit around, wait for an earnings report to drop, bad results, short, and ride off into the sunset rich. Of course, it's not that easy. You know why? It's because people are buying these stocks for a month plus in advance. And that influence is causing a lot of like uncertainty around what happens to these reports. Like, you're acting like it has to be a binary reaction, and it doesn't, right? And that comes from probably a lack of experience. Now, you might be shorting Tesla, and you might be big mad now that Tesla ripped up. But again, that, as I said, the edge for shorting blue chip stocks is very low, especially when you zoom out long term. It's a silly thing to do. I'm not saying you can never short, but like holding long term short positions in companies based off of stuff like this, especially, is a straight up gamble. Like, and again, you learn from it, but yeah.
5 years isn't that long. I've been doing it for 10. And again, I'm here to tell you that, like, I cover every major earnings report, market news. I see the reactions. They're not predictable. And so if you have such little experience that you think that gambling big on a delivery number announcement, front loading into that delivery number announcement, and then somehow hoping to profit with some significant edge, it comes from a lack of experience. No offense to you. It's all love here, brother. But it comes from a lack of experience, man. It's not rigged. It's just the moves that y'all want are happening for the last few months in Tesla. You know, if Tesla can, like, yeah, like the real nuance of Tesla is that if it can come close to what's expected, it's beating a lot of bearish media. If it could come just close to what's expected, it's beating a lot of so again, if it can come even close to expected, it's beating a lot of bearish sentiment, and that's what's propelling it higher. Most experienced traders recognize you can't gamble and front load ahead of delivery numbers and hope to have any significant edge. It's just not something that happens, and a lot of people are justifying gambling and like their own gambling to take part in this. And again, it's just a silly thing. There's no edge. It's like a coin flip. Like, you might as well just flip a coin, brother, and hope to make money, because that's not how this works, unfortunately. Maybe long term that will play out, but the numbers coming in close is good. Remember, guys, we do have Powell with the ECB today. We are going to be streaming this live, so be ready. This is scheduled to start about 20 minutes here, chat. 20 minutes. Tesla just flooring up here, just making great, crazy moves, to be honest. Yeah. I bought Tesla and sold it, now short, and it's burning me since yesterday, but it's a correct move, right? There's no correct or incorrect move, brother. And that's your fundamental misunderstanding. Again, you're acting like it's binary, meaning like it's there's only good numbers equals positive reaction and bad numbers equals a negative reaction, and it's just not that easy. Like, there's much more nuance in markets than good buy, bad sell, right? Like, I wish it was that easy. I really do. I would be very wealthy sitting around waiting for earnings reports to come out better or worse and then just clicking short or clicking buy. But again, that's not a sustainable thing. Like, everybody would be rich. Like, nobody would work. It would just be chaos. And so analyzing the market, especially in terms of like these economic releases and these delivery numbers for Tesla, is much more nuanced than that. And again, the nuance of today is that the delivery numbers came in close to what's expected versus a lot of people saying they wouldn't. And that's good. And that is causing Tesla to go really, really high right now, up to 220s. Again, the extension on Tesla was on the downside as well, right? Like, Tesla's very down on the last 52 weeks, very down on the year. At the start of the year, it was at almost $300. It's now at 200s. It went as low as 130s. And so the extension for Tesla is on the downside too. And so, yeah, again, there's a lot more factors you have to consider besides these numbers and what happens with Tesla. Yeah, it could still pull back, certainly could, but getting mad that it didn't go the direction, is a silly rookie trader thing. You know what I mean? We all got to humble ourselves to the market sometimes, and that makes sense. Yeah, every time I say nuance, drink. Don't drink. I'm not telling you what to do, but yeah. How do you manage such an open with the Fed? Trade smart, trade carefully. It's the best way. Just be smart. All right, so we're gonna end this poll and do another one. You can watch the Fed speech live right here. So yeah. Yeah, you can watch the full Fed speech live right here. We'll put the Tesla delivery numbers up. We also have the JOLTS report going live too. All right. So the Tesla they didn't put the Tesla numbers up. There we go. We'll put the Tesla deliveries a little bit lower here. There you go. So there's the Tesla deliveries. Tesla just broke highs again, got up to 221s. I'm gonna go switch my headphones out, guys. We got 15 minutes, so I just want to make sure we're good. QTQE top 3. Take a sip of coffee. Yeah, I already bought into Nike. I don't know what Powell's gonna do. Yeah, irrationality of the market. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Tesla's up a huge amount. Yeah, it's helping me for sure. All right, guys, I'm gonna go grab my headphones. They're right down. Let me go grab those right now. All right, guys, let me put my headphones up. Tesla's still rising here up to 221.20s. We also have the JOLTS report going live at 10 o'clock. I'm not sure how long Powell is expected to speak, but yeah. Let me see. Good. We're gonna end this. Let me know if you can hear the music. I want to make sure the music and everything's working good. Tesla's looking great. Looking great. 13 minutes. Nike dropped because the sneaker fad died or dying. Suddenly YouTube algo expand viz. Yeah, I think I think with anything, nothing died, right? I think what it probably is there's gonna be waves of good and bad interest. You know, there's gonna be variance in the prices of sneakers, just like there's gonna be variance and there's gonna be big runs and then big corrections and big runs. Like Nike, Pokemon cards, like shoes, of course, like I said, shoes, Pokemon cards, baseball cards. There's gonna be waves, kind of like crypto and other stuff, right? There's gonna be good waves and bad waves. We might be in a down wave right now for Nike, but I think eventually it'll bounce back. Anyways, Tesla just broke highs again, got up to almost 222. It's at 221.90s here. If the Feds couldn't pump money into the markets and buy the debt and suppress the 10-year, the markets would come down now. Why do I love this guy? I don't know, because with the top 3 greatest economists in the world right now, gold, bull, or bear after Powell. I don't know. Where's gold at? Let me see. I don't know what Powell's going to say either. Gold's been very sideways for days. We'll see if it moves up some. Tesla's still going higher at 222s. Yeah, I think so. Again, it's kind of like real estate or any other market. Like you got to look at markets as markets. The sneaker market, you know, essentially it's kind of like real estate, right? Some years in real estate, you're going to just do great. You're going to kill it. You're going to be making so much money. And then the Fed might do something like raise interest rates, right? And then rates go up. You lose a lot of business. Again, some businesses in real estate survive and others don't. And then the next bull market comes and then they start doing really, really well. And then, so it's important to budget in those markets. And again, the sneaker sellers and buyers that didn't budget, I don't know the sneaker market very well. Let me see if is there a graph? Let me see if is there any charts? Sneaker industry statistics. I'm trying to see if there's like a graph. Like a sneaker interest graph. Interested in sneakers. I mean, it's projected to grow by 2028, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, guys, listen, let me put the timer back up. We got 10 minutes. Here, chat, 10 minutes. So we got the ECB forum with Powell going live soon here. Be ready. Like buying options in Tesla. I'm holding shares of Tesla. I'm probably just going to continue to hold. Yeah, Google Trends. That's probably a good idea. Let me try it out. All right, Google Trends. What do we do? Nike sneakers? Let's take a look at past 90 days. 90 days has been pretty like the biggest markets are New York, Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, Massachusetts. I would say like Nike sneakers. Interests might be dropping a little bit. All right, guys. Hey, SPY is up to 543.50s. Tesla's still testing lifetime highs. It hit 222. Gold is at 23.30s here after delivery numbers. I like to buy on down markets though. Yeah, Nike as a topic has basically been flat. It hasn't really changed like in any big negative way though. Yeah, as the thing below me suggests, you can watch the Fed Powell speech live right here at 9:30 Eastern, which is in about 8 minutes. Delivery numbers were slightly lower than the 450 estimates, but so many people were acting like deliveries were just going to be at 210, like at 410s and 411s, or like sub 400s, some of them. And so Tesla, because it came close to the expected number on a big down year where it's down huge percentages and a lot of people were expecting much worse, Tesla ended up ripping up huge amount. It's up to 223s basically right now. We're going to stream the Powell speech live right here, Tan. So you won't have to go anywhere else. You'll be able to watch it all live right here. Y'all can hear the music, correct? I think I look like Bill Buckner. What a glorious mustache. I've heard a lot of different names. I've heard Paul Felder. I've heard Forrest Griffin. I've heard Ryan Felipe. I've heard a bunch of different names. I'm gonna choose Ryan Felipe out of all of them, not Forrest Griffin for sure. Would it be a bad idea to short gold? Well, long term, of course, I think. Like gold has been one of the top 3 inflation hedges, meaning like if you buy gold and you sit, it's going to keep up with inflation most of the time. Gold is like 8x over the last 25 years or so, or something like that. I can't check it yourself, but it's done something crazy like that. Versus the S&P is like 5x. Gold has outperformed the S&P over the last 20 plus years. I think the time to buy gold is on a pullback though, you know, so but I'm in gold as well. I bought it last year. Or was it last year? I don't know when I bought it. I'll check. Yeah, so I've already switched out the headphones. As long as y'all can hear the music, then it's putting the sound out, which is what we want to know. Again, we talked about choppy strategies and behaviors here. So again, guys, just to put out Tesla delivery numbers. Tesla delivery numbers did come out. And again, they came out at around 444,000. They expected 450,000, but there was so much negative press and low expectations. People were talking like they were going to come out at 390s or 410s. And so for the delivery numbers to actually show up close to the expected number, when Tesla, when you look at it, is on like a big down year, it's been down for the last 52 weeks. It was at almost 352 weeks ago at the same period last year. And so I'm okay with Tesla having a positive reaction, especially leading into their robotaxi stuff in August. And we'll see how that goes. Let me know what you guys think about Tesla over the next coming weeks. All right, so let's get ready here, chat. We're going to get ready. Let me refresh. All right. We got 1,300 people here live. Guys, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right, guys. We got Jerome Powell going live here in about 5 minutes. Let's see what we get here. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna pull the stream up. Let's go ahead and build this, get this ready. All right. We got the Big Papa Jerome Powell. Ooh, get ready, chat. Next session, yeah. So here is the here's the speech. We'll get this positioned here. We'll put Tesla up. Maybe put like here's the SPY up. Remember, gold goes live, or not the gold. I'm sorry, Jolts goes live at 10 a.m. So in about 35 minutes or so, gold goes live. I'm just looking at the SPY. All right, so again, confirm with me, chat. You can hear the music, correct? All right, 9:30. Again, we're waiting here. I don't think there's any music. I'll mute the background. Wait, so y'all can't hear this music right here, chat. Hold up. Y'all can't hear that? Hey, Jack's phone's right here, guys. All right, sorry, my son's phone was going off. Here. Okay, we can hear. Okay, good. All right, so we're ready here, chat. We're ready. We're on live. I'm gonna mute music. They don't even have any hold music, unfortunately, but we got the sound all the way up. We are ready here for Jerome Powell speaking. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Chat. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Give me your last minute predictions here. What else? What other chart do you want below this? I don't know if I can squeeze one in here. I could try. Maybe like gold, dollar index, maybe the Q, something like that. Crypto maybe or something. Let's see. There we go. Squeeze that in there. So we can have multiple charts up. And yeah, let's go. We got roughly we got roughly a minute left until he's supposed to speak. So be ready, guys, or be square. We're sitting here live. I can hear it good. And if you want to check out Apex and day trade with no PDT rule in futures, in the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, basically the SPY and Q. There's no PDT rule in futures. Great way to learn is a funded account program. Apex gives you a demo. Test your skill with a funded account. With a demo account, if you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it, which the base one's $40. Roughly, you can get the 150, 250, and 300K challenges where if you pass them, you get hundreds of thousands in funding with a 90% split. For $35-$40 if you use my coupon code. And if you lose, it's not the end of the world. Again, they're a sponsor. Understand none of this is to be taken as forward-looking statements, including Jerome Powell. Guys, including Jerome Powell, none of this is to be taken as forward-looking. Understand we're not investment professionals. We're not liable for losses. I don't even claim to be a good or profitable trader. Understand all that stuff. Yeah, here we are. I still cover both F and B. All right, so there's gold at the bottom. We are waiting here. You can see it's about to start. Day 2, Jerome Powell. We'll see how this goes, guys. We'll really see how it goes. Yeah. Once the live stream starts, please make sure to tell me that you can hear everything and that the sound is good, and let me know. There's the opening bell as well, guys. The opening bell just happened. Let's see how the market performs at the opening bell. We got about 2,000 people here right now, a little bit over, around 2,000 people. Again, Tesla is now at 219.30s. Gold is at 23.36. All right, guys, you guys ready? We're waiting for this to start. It hasn't started yet. The SPY so far has actually moved up. Tesla has moved up to about 223 here, chat. 223. Wait, see the same market goes up. All right, we got 2,200 people here live. Again, hit the subscribe button. I'm looking at Tesla. Tesla back up to 221s. Gold is at 23.36s right now. 23.36s. Again, we're waiting for the Powell speech to start. Let me check the ECB website as well. But yeah, we're waiting for the Powell speech to start. Should go live anytime now. You can see it actually changed to the stream's about to start. So we're waiting here. I'm not saying sell gold. Nobody's. All right. All right, here we go. It's starting up now.
Would speak. And we at the ECB are absolutely determined
Sound
to
check.
ensure that inflation returns to our target.
Look at the SPY moving
Like
up.
other central banks, we also find ourselves in an era of transformation.
Transformation.
Geopolitical shocks, a
Geopolitical
changing
shocks.
climate
Good.
are driving this change, upending our old reality and replacing it with new uncertainties. As central bankers, our role will remain the same as before, ensuring price
All right, so the
stability.
sound seems to
But
be
the
pretty good.
world in which we operate is likely to become far more complex. So at the ECB forum, at the beginning of July, we will discuss how central banks, including us, the ECB, can best navigate this new terrain.
Look at the SPY
Please
heading
join
up.
us.
All right, so the SPY's heading up, guys. The SPY's heading up. All right, so ECB forum on central banking is right now. Monetary policy in an era of transformation. Again, so today we're supposed to have Robert Campos, the governor of the Bank of Brazil, Christine Lagarde, the president of the ECB.
Inflation is now returning to central banks' targets. Many have already cut interest rates. Others are considering doing so. The questions now are how low will rates go and whether the global economy can weather the political risks that we see all around us and avoid a serious recession. Our next panelists are very much better placed than most to provide the answers. This session will be moderated by Sarah Eisen an anchor at CNBC. Sarah, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so honored to be back on this stage. We were here a year ago, and it is my also great pleasure to welcome three people who need no introduction in this room. Chair Powell from the Federal Reserve, President Lagarde, our host from the European Central Bank, and President Campos Neto from Brazil. This time last year, when we were all talking, you guys were in the sort of final process of hiking rates. Fast forward 1 year, and now it's interesting. While I'm going to miss Governor Ueda and his jokes, we've got three great panelists here going at different speeds, I would say, when it comes to reversing that course. So would love to just open it up, President Lagarde, with you and ask, where are you in this process? Because you cut in June. So now what?
Well, it's been a journey. You can't just say, "Oh, we cut in June." It's coming on the back of a period of hikes, which was unprecedented, facing shocks that I tried to describe yesterday over dinner, and followed by a period during which we held rates untouched, and during which we were restrictive enough to actually see our medium-term target reach that 2%, which is our objective. And most recently, we have seen in our round of projections, which are really important, September, December, March, and June, we've seen that 2% target with an oscillation of 0.1 about it at the last quarter of 2025. So it's on that basis, and on the basis of what I'm happy to describe as, the three-leg reaction function and all the underlying data and information that feeds those three legs, that we decided to do a 25 basis points cuts. But in the same breath of air, I also said that it was not a linear process, that it was not a predetermined path that we were embarking upon, but a step that would be followed by further review of data, further understanding of where our three legs reaction function would be. So that's pretty much where we are. And I would simply maybe add that we are very advanced in that disinflationary path, and we are in that sort of slow recovery, which came about during the first quarter, and which we hope will persevere. But all of that is flawed with uncertainties and big question mark about the future.
Sounds like you're setting up the market for a pause now. Is that right?
I'm not setting up anything for anyone. I think that it's for everyone to really look under the skin of the economy and see where it's heading, and appreciating what our reaction function is and how we're likely to decide.
Chair Powell, you have also been on a journey and have been on hold since last July, have not cut rates like the ECB in June. Why not? What are you waiting for?
So let me say that sitting here last year, there was a lot we didn't know, and we didn't know that we were just about to embark on a period of 7 months of much lower inflation readings. We didn't realize that the second half of last year was going to be an extraordinary year from a growth standpoint, and also from the standpoint of the labor market. So things actually worked out in the second half of last year in a remarkable way. Then, as you know, in the first quarter of this year, we continue to have solid growth in the first half, actually, solid growth, and a labor market that's still strong, although we've seen a continued rebalancing in the labor market. And inflation, after pausing in the first quarter, now shows signs of resuming its disinflationary trend. So it's a little bit different journey. So where that leaves us is we've made quite a bit of progress in bringing inflation back down to our target, while the labor market has remained strong and growth has continued. We want that process to continue. I think the last reading and the one before it in inflation, the one before it to a lesser extent, do suggest that we are getting back on a disinflationary path. We want to be more confident that inflation is moving sustainably down toward 2% before we start the process of reducing how tight our policy is, of loosening policy. That's what we've said, and what we'd like to see is more data like what we've been seeing recently. We'd also like to see the labor market remains strong. We've said that if we saw the labor market unexpectedly weakening, is also something that could call for a reaction.
How much more confident do you want to be? The PCE number 2.6, that wasn't too bad that we got last week.
That's right. So we're actually on a 12-month basis. We're actually at 2.6, both headline and core for inflation, and that represents really significant progress. I think we peaked at 5.4% in core, and the same thing has happened in headline. We've gone from 7.1 to 2.6. So yes, we've made a lot of progress. We just want to understand that the levels that we're seeing are a true reading on what is actually happening with underlying inflation. And as we were saying at the last part of last year, people were saying, you need to declare victory, this is over. And then we had a quarter of inflation, which was well above 3%. So we want to be more confident. And frankly, because the US economy is strong and the labor market is strong, we have the ability to take our time and get this right. And that's what we're planning to do.
So September?
I'm not going to be landing on any specific dates here today. Let me also say that we're well aware that if we go too soon, that we could undo the good work we've done of bringing down inflation, and if we go too late, we could unnecessarily undermine the recession, the recovery, and the expansion. And so we're aware that we have two-sided risks now, more so than we did a year ago. That's a big change. I'd say risks are coming much more into balance now.
President Campos, you have been on a different journey because you've actually been cutting rates for much of the last year and have recently paused. Why? What are you seeing in inflation data, and what are you going to do next?
Okay, so if you go back a little bit in the history of time, so Brazil was one of the first countries to hike rates. I think in part because we had a different call on the dynamics of inflation, both locally and globally. And I think that turned out to be correct. And then at some point in time, we started the easing cycle. And throughout this process of easing, we've seen that inflation has converged. We have some of the problems that are common to advanced economies and other Latin American countries, which is labor markets very strong. So there were 2 points of attention. One was labor market being that strong, would that at some point in time mean inflation in the service side? And even though we haven't seen that yet, what we try to do is to try to estimate what would be the components of labor in every service so that we can anticipate if that were to happen. We haven't seen it, but we think it's, there is somewhat of a correlation when you look at the margin. And so most recently, we decided to pause. That had to do not only with the current numbers and with this suspicion that we had service inflation that could peak at some point in time, and also because food prices were going back up a little bit, and I also think that's not only happening in Brazil, it's going to happen in some other places too. But also has to do with a lot of noises that we had. So we decided to interrupt the cycle. More recently, we've had a sell-off in some of the emerging market countries. Brazil was more affected. But I think this has to do much more with noises that were created than the fundamentals. And the noises are related to two channels. One is the expectation on the path of fiscal policy, and the other one is expectation on the future of monetary policy. So when you had these two at the same time, I think it created uncertainty enough that for us, we needed to interrupt and see how we can fix that channel and how we can communicate better so that we can eliminate those noises. Because there is a big disconnection with the current data, both fiscal and inflation data, and the expectation. So what happened in Brazil is the expectation started to the anchor, even though the current data is coming as expected.
Right. So you're talking about the fall in the stock market and the real recently when you talk about the markets.
But for us, what matters is how this gets into our reaction function. So I'm talking about expected inflation, the long end of interest rate curve. So we had somewhat of a steepening of the interest rate curve. We had a devaluation of the currency. But for us, what matters is the expected inflation, both implied inflation from the markets and expected inflation from the surveys. Those have gone up.
Yeah, I mean, President Lagarde, you have described the path to 2% as bumpy. We got an inflation report in the Eurozone this morning, 2.5%, not too bad, but core was high and services are still above 4%. So what is keeping prices so sticky?
Well, first of all, we had as you said, a number that was lower than last month. So we said it was bumpy, and it's proving heading in the right direction for the indicator that we use, which is HICP, to measure inflation and to set our target. So that's good, but we still believe that it's likely to be a bumpy road until the end of 2024. But we still have target at the end, in the second half of 2025, on the basis of our projections, and the baseline is unequivocal on that front. You are correct that services hasn't budged. So services is at 4.1, if I remember from the numbers that we got this morning. And obviously, we are very attentive to the components and what is behind services. And the real issue is to understand whether those are, this is caused by sort of permanent changes, or whether it is also a factor of the lag effects of other components, which are finding their way more slowly and gradually into services. And the jury is out as to exactly what it is. The truth of the matter is that we do have a service number that has gone slightly up in the recent months, and which is now staying at this 4.1 percentage points. Now, obviously, we don't need to have services at 2%, because manufacturing goods are below 2%, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a balance between goods and services, and it depends on the weight of those within the index. But we have to look really what is behind it. And what's behind it is a lot of wages. Services has a very high component of labor. Wages also suffer from the lag impact of the labor system that we have in Europe, where clearly bargaining agreements are negotiated not only on an annual basis in some countries, but sometimes on a triennial basis in other countries. So you have this catch-up effect. You know, for those people whose renegotiation took place early this year, they had not had a negotiation of wages in the last 3 years. In the meantime, of course, inflation went up and their real wages went down. So there is an element of catch-up. So we need to really unpack all that to get to the root causes of inflation behind services. So we'll continue to look at that. We need data. It applies to wages. It applies to profits, because we are seeing profit gradually declining compared to the height where they weren't at the end of 22. But we need to see those profits absorbing the wage cost increases to make sure that the second round effect is out of the window, and services are also going to be on a declining path as well. But services is the difficult one.
I was just going to pose that Taylor Swift is touring Europe this summer, and there tends to be an inflationary effect in services. Am I right, Chair Powell? We saw it last year, didn't we?
Interesting. We'll see what they say here.
It's not just Taylor Swift, you know, others have come as well. Larry Spring.
I don't know. I saw her at Wembley, and there was a lot of spending going on. No, but how do you look at the services, the stickiness of the services inflation, and how tied it is to wages, which have been rising?
You know, famously, services inflation is stickier, and famously it's tied to wages. I would say, so look at the U.S. labor market. We've seen a pretty substantial move toward better balance than we had a couple of years ago when labor was in, you know, extreme shortage. So what you see now is an unemployment rate that's moving back up toward a more sustainable level. You see wage increases moving back down toward a sustainable level of wage increases, inflation, and productivity. And you see, you know, vacancies to unemployment ratio coming back to where it was pre-pandemic, and so many other measures I could mention. So that's what we're seeing. And so the labor market, wage increases are still a bit above where they would wind up in equilibrium, but nonetheless, you can see the labor market is you know, cooling off, appropriately so, and we're watching it very carefully. But it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it's heating up or presenting a big problem for inflation going forward. Indeed, it looks like it's doing just what you would want it to do, which is to cool off over time, not quickly, not suddenly, not steeply. It's kind of what we've been hoping to see and have been seeing. So, and you know, services generally are, there's such a mixed bag, particularly non-housing services are a mixed bag. Some of what you're seeing is catch-up inflation from inflationary pressures that happened earlier. You know, that's true with insurance. It's also true with housing services inflation, where you've got some pent-up rent increases that have to work their way off. It turns out it takes more than 1 year for that to happen. It takes several years. So we see all that in train, and we don't see ourselves getting back to 2% inflation this year or next year, or maybe late next year, but in the year after. The main thing is we're making real progress.
Can you keep cutting President Lagarde if he keeps holding? Does it make it harder?
Well, look, I'm going to give you the conventional response because that's the conventional question you ask me. We do take into account the spillover impact of whatever is decided by other esteemed colleagues. And obviously, my esteemed friend, Chair Powell, is one of those. So we take that into account, but we also determine our monetary policy on the basis of what we see in our economy. And we look at the data that we get, the impact that multiple factors have on our economies and its numbers.
Does it matter for you, President Campos, what the Fed does next?
Well, I think it matters to an extent, but I think there is one point that is worth mentioning, which is more recently we've seen a sell-off in some of the EM, and especially the EM that had more, there were like more the best cases for investment. And you see that this is being explained with local news. But when you have a lot of sell-offs in different markets and they're all explained by local news, you have to ask yourself if there is a more fundamental factor driving that. And I think there might be. It's difficult to make the case right now, but definitely what we see now is there is more risk premium in a lot of the emerging market countries. And it was very synchronized with the long end of the US curve, and that correlation broke. So we've seen the last couple of weeks that even though the 10-year yield is more or less stable, even actually going a little bit lower, we saw a bit of a sell-off in emerging market countries. And I think that has to do with the fact that as you go for longer with higher rates and much higher debt, you start extracting liquidity from the market, and eventually you are repricing that liquidity. It could just be a temporary adjustment in EM, or it could be the beginning of a more profound movement. We need to wait and see. But I think the correlation between the U.S. Treasury and some of the EM has been broken in the last couple of weeks, and I think we should pay attention to that.
What about the fundamentals in emerging markets? Because the economies seem to do better during this hiking cycle than they have previously. Why do you think that is, and does it continue?
I think most EMs did a better job in terms of, or at least an equal job in terms of anticipating the process and starting the hiking process. Also in the fiscal part, on average, emerging market countries spent more or less 10% of GDP facing the pandemic. Advanced economies spend a little bit more than 20. So I think there is also this thing which didn't happen in the past, which is by and large, emerging markets were able to deal with the pandemic spending less. And actually, when you look at the fiscal post-pandemic, emerging market continues. It's not the case of every country, but continues to do a little bit better. So I think that also change the dynamics. And one other thing is, I think, the independence of the central bank and the maturity that a lot of the central banks have gained in emerging market proved to be very useful during this process of the pandemic.
I mean, all of your economies did better than expected with the interest rate hikes. Wouldn't you say, Chair Powell?
Yes, I think particularly, I mean, many forecasters had a recession in 2023, which not only turned out to be wrong in the case of the U.S., we had well in excess of 3% growth. So,
but you still see policy as restrictive?
Yes, we do.
How restrictive?
Well, so that's kind of an empirical question. So I guess I would say, if you look at, we do think policy is restrictive, and we think that's appropriate. I think if you look at the labor market in particular, you're seeing demand for labor gradually come down in the form of job openings, and now a slight softening in unemployment in the form of wages. You see demand coming down, not just the supply that we're getting, but also demand coming down. You also see the effects of of high interest rates in the housing market and some other interest rate sensitive things. So you see that. And I think, I do think that restrictive policy is working hand in hand with this broad supply side recovery we've had, where we've seen the unwinding of the shortages and bottlenecks from the pandemic. We've also seen a recovery in labor force participation among prime age individuals in the US, and then some immigration, which has also been a positive supply shock. So we've seen all those things work together to give us, really significant declines in inflation. At the same time, we've got a strong labor market and growth. This was it's a great outcome for the people that we serve, and it's one that we want to do everything we can to foster.
So why not just cut rates to protect it?
It's what I said earlier.
Is it a bigger risk? Sorry, I'll rephrase. Is it a bigger risk that you cut prematurely and inflation stays sticky, or that you wait too long and the economy loses more momentum?
That is the question. And so, our answer to the question is we serve a dual mandate, right? And if these two things are embodied in that mandate. The risk on the inflation side is that you move too quickly, inflation comes back, and we didn't really solve the problem. And then we have to go back in, and that would be very disruptive to the economy. So the other risk is that we wait too long. We understand that, and the labor market softens too much. Perhaps we lose the expansion. So needless to say, we don't want to do that either. So, but at the same time, so we've got to balance those two. And again, given the strength we see in the U.S. economy, we can approach that question carefully. But as I said earlier, though, you see, a year or so ago, we were talking about inflation, and our framework called for us to focus on the variable, the mandate that is further from its goal. They've come back much closer into balance. And a good way to see it is the beverage curve analysis that everybody talks about and looks at. We've come straight down the beverage curve, which you're really getting to that place relative to job openings and hiring rates, where traditionally the beverage curve is flattened out, which would mean higher unemployment as a result of further declines in job openings. So you can't know that with precision, but it's very much understood by us that we have two-sided risks and we have to manage them.
What about the recovery in the Eurozone, President Lagarde? It's also been pretty resilient, especially on the unemployment front. How confident do you feel in sticking the soft landing?
Well, we reached a level of confidence back in June when we decided to actually cut rates by 25 basis points. But as I said in the opening remarks, it's not something that is taken for granted, that is a given, and we're going to re-examine each and every step of the way whether that confidence is actually continuously reinforced in order to continue on that path. And the remarks by Chair Powell made me really reinforce my points about data, because we are navigating in this universe of one risk versus the other, but where data is so important. And data is so important because we proceed always with the burden of the lag of time, whether it's the impact of our policy decisions, whether it's the impact of wages, whether it's the sort of on-time data or not. All of that has to be taken into account and analyzed in details so that we can feel really confident that we can go forward.
At the same time, there are also political risks. Certainly they're front and center. It was nice of all the authorities to make elections all happen this week, certainly in France and in England. President Lagarde, is there anything the ECB can do to shield the rest of the Eurozone from feeling any negative impact from a divided government in France, or from whatever the result is of the French election, in a negative way?
I thank you so much for your question.
It can't be a surprise.
Because I'm not going to comment on the political situation of any of the member states, particularly those that are facing elections at the moment. But, obviously, the European Central Bank has to do what it has to do. Our mandate is price stability. Price stability is obviously relying on financial stability, and we are attentive to that because this is part of our job, and we will continue to do so.
Does the rise in French bond yields look worrisome at all?
These are the things that we monitor. This is part of the job. It's it's not particularly at this point in time. We do that all the time, and we are very attentive.
You have fought hard for the central bank's independence in Brazil, and yet now you are the subject of many attacks from President Lula. And so I'm wondering how you're dealing with that.
Attacks from me?
No. No, President Campos. Attacks from President Lula. I think he called you an adversary and an enemy.
Yes, well, I think as a central bank, we have to get away from the political arena and try to go on with the technical job. And I think what we did, I think, is a living proof that everything that was done was very technical. So during the elections in which Lula was elected, the incumbent president, in his last year of mandate, we increased rates in a cycle that went from 2% to 13.75%. That's the biggest increase in rates in an election year in the history of any emerging markets. So if that is not a proof that you are independent and you acted autonomously, it's difficult to find another example like that. So I think all this narrative that the central bank has been political, I think we have to get away from that and explain what we're doing. And I think what we're doing has been very technical. The last decision was unanimous, and we now have 4 members in the board that were chosen by the current president. And I think what we need to separate it was what is the political narrative and what is the technical job that we need to do. And I think history will tell and time will tell that the job was done in the best we could do with the data that we had at hand, and that was in the most technical way, and it was done in a group of people that actually analyzed all the data and that worked very judiciously to be able to get to the conclusions that we did.
Chair Powell, do you have any advice for him? You've been through some attacks from
I have no advice. I will say, though, to put it in my words, we've been given this great responsibility and great powers, and really important that we get it right. And we've been told to stay out of politics and just do your job, and that's what we do. We don't try to get involved in issues that are not our issues, and in particular, we're just focused on our goals and getting through that. And if we do that and do it well, I will say in the United States, there's very broad support for an independent Fed in both political parties on both sides of Capitol Hill and everywhere. I don't think that that's really in question, as long as we just are seen to be doing our job and staying on task at all times.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I think that there are countries where governors do exactly what Chair Powell said, and yet get blamed, criticized. And I think that for some it takes courage to do the job, in addition to being a good, excellent technical expert.
But I do wonder if you're concerned, because your term ends, President Campos, at the end of the year. And it doesn't seem like President Lula is going to reappoint you. So do you worry about the independence of the central bank?
So first, I was never up for reappointment, regardless of who won the elections, and I've said that from the very beginning. When I helped design the independence law, I actually tried not to have the reappointment possibility in the law. And for me, the reason was I didn't want that the president of the central bank, at any circumstance, would have any incentives to bend his knee in order to have any kind of re-election. So that we need to make that very clear. Secondly, there is actually a risk premium down in the curve, and I think it has been elevated in the last couple of weeks as to an uncertainty of what happens when the next leadership or the next team takes place. But this in Brazil is done very slowly, because the president can change 2 directors every year, and we have 8 directors plus the president. So right now we have 4 directors that were appointed by the current government. And the last monetary decision, was unanimous. So I think what we did in the last decisions proved that the group is very cohesive in trying to find a technical solution for the country. So I understand there is a risk premium and there is always this uncertainty, but I think the group that we have which is composed of 8 directors plus a governor, voted unanimously, understanding that that was the best for the country at that time. And so I think I understand that there is a risk premium, but I think with time that risk premium will tend to decrease.
There are concerns in the United States about Fed independence if President Trump gets elected. There have been reports that he's looking at that issue. Obviously, you've been subject of attacks before. What is your level of concern about that?
I am not focused on that at all. And that's not just a talking point. I really think that we just keep doing our jobs. I mean, the US economy, we have 4% unemployment. It's growing at 2%. Inflation's at 2.6%. Let's keep that going. Let's do our jobs. History will judge. I think if we can keep things on that path, that's what I'm focused on. That's the only thing I'm focused on. And as I mentioned, I do think support for the Fed's independence is very high, where it really matters on Capitol Hill in both political parties, among the leaders and most of the following. And so I worry about getting the job right. That's what I worry about.
I know you guys don't want to touch politics, but President Lagarde, it does bring into focus the fiscal policies, right? We heard President Campos say it. There are concerns about the deficits in France, if the far right should win. There are concerns in the United States about the deficits. So I do wonder if you have something to say or to warn on the fiscal front as it relates to making your inflation fight harder.
Well, fiscal matters enormously, true. And it matters in two different ways from my perspective. It matters from a sort of conjunctural type of way. And thank goodness the European authorities have agreed on the fiscal governance that will take over after the Growth and Stability Pact has been suspended and now completely replaced. So there is a framework within which members of the European Union have to operate, have to control the direction of their debt, have to make sure that it is sustainable going forward through the efforts that they deploy, and have to keep their deficit on watch with enough flexibility. And that's the second part of fiscal spending that I'm concerned about, with sufficient of an impact of a focus on productivity, on growth, of investment that will be conducive to both. And my hope is that in addition to operating within the European fiscal framework, which has been agreed by all European members, in addition to that, countries will actually look at the structural changes that they have to either continue to have in their arsenal of tools, but also that they will continue to improve going forward, because I regard that as critically important for productivity purposes, which we are lagging behind and have been lagging behind for a long time. So we're not so worried about fiscal expectations, as Roberto was saying, for Brazil or emerging market economies, but we're very concerned about the fiscal rules that have to be respected within the European Union, and the structural reforms that will be conducive, hopefully, to productivity improvement going forward, because that's the only way for Europe to actually remain strong and thrive in those changing circumstances and transformations that we have talked about.
And I know you're allergic to fiscal policy, Chair Powell, but I have heard you talk about the unsustainable debt burden of the United States. And even lately, there's been a sell-off in treasuries after increasing odds that President Trump will be reelected, that there might be a sweep of either party. Doesn't that make you nervous when it comes to the progress you've had on inflation? If we do see more expansionary fiscal policy, more deficit, bigger deficits, bigger debt loads?
So I'm gonna give you the traditional answer to some extent, and that is that we just know fiscal policy is a job for elected people. We're not elected people, so we don't comment on it, and particularly in advance of a presidential election, we're not commenting on anyone's particular policies one way or the other. I will say more broadly, though, the United States is running a very large deficit at a time when we're at full employment, and it just is, the level of debt that we have is not unsustainable. The path that we're on is unsustainable. That's completely non-controversial. I would have thought that this is something that should be a top level issue. And you do hear this from a lot of elected officials, but it should be a real focus going forward, is how do we get back to a sustainable path? Because you can't run these kinds of deficits in really in good economic times for very long. I mean, I wouldn't say, I can't really speak to the time, but in the longer run, we'll have to do something sooner or later, and sooner will be better than later.
President Campos?
Yeah, let's do a basic exercise. If you look at the total debt combined, just sovereign debt of US plus Europe plus Japan, that's 64% of the total global debt. That went, in terms of cost of servicing that debt, it went from 1.1, 1.2% before the pandemic to around 3.3% right now. But then you added 25% of GDP to that debt, which was the cost of facing the pandemic. So we have a much higher debt and a much, much higher cost of service the debt. So I think there is an aspect globally that is the extraction of liquidity that cumulative will have an effect in the market that sometimes is not pricing correctly. And if you think about what we have to do right now, we have to pay for the cost of the transfer programs that we did. We need to pay for the cost of the green transition, which is somewhat expensive. We need to pay for the cost of the fragmentation, which you look at the surveys and it's very costly for companies and for governments. We need to pay for the cost of the low-income countries that spent very little during the pandemic and now need support. We need to pay for the cost of demographics. And there is a surge in consumption of energy that needs to be paid because of the innovation. So we have a lot of bills to pay. A lot of bills to pay. We are at the highest level of debt that we had in a long time. And I think it's sometimes I stop and I think it's time for us globally to think about a way to get to some kind of stable trajectory of the debt in the next couple of years. And it's not one country or the other. It's something that we need to do collectively because the global debt is very high and it's going to start taking a lot of liquidity from the markets. And the ones that will feel the effect are not the advanced economies, are the emerging economies, emerging market economies. And the low-income countries are feeling that effect already.
And you think the market is mispricing this risk?
I think the market was mispricing a little bit the fact that if you have higher rates for longer, the effect from extracting liquidity, depending on how much longer you're going to have these higher rates, I think the risk is higher than what the market is pricing as.
I also wanted to ask you, President Campos, about China, because you have a pretty good view. It's such a big trading partner for you. What's going on there? How much is China's economy slowing?
I'm not sure I'm very equipped to tell you what's happening in China. I can tell you that is very important for a lot of emerging market economies. It's very important for Brazil. We are a very big exporter of food items and iron ore. So China is a very big trade partner with Brazil. And it has been for a while. And regardless of the government, it's important to understand that is a very important tie to Brazil. The one thing that we look from looking from far away is we're trying to see what are the policies that China is doing, what is the focus, and what is the impact that this new policy will have for us. But because we export mainly food items and iron ore, we don't see that as a big threat. I think some other countries will have a different understanding of what this impact will be.
Yeah, I mean, there's also trade barriers that are going up. President Lagarde, tariffs. I mean, in our election, we're talking about potentially more tariffs. Are you seeing that in terms of growth and inflationary impact?
Well, we're not seeing yet more tariffs than what had been decided back, 8 years ago, and which was consistently maintained later on in relation to certain products. So that for the moment is stable. What is not stable at all is the number of protective measures, occasionally non-compliance with WTO rules, the level of disputes that are brought before the WTO, which is not in a position to resolve them because they are not equipped with the dispute resolution mechanism, and magistrates have not been appointed to that effect. We've had more than 3,000 trade protective measures decided in the last 2 years. And that is like 5 times what is the normal average of measures that are decided. So that's a concern. And it's a concern because trade has been fueling growth, and because Europe at large is not a small open economy, it's a large open economy, and trade restrictions are going to affect Europe much more so than other countries that operate without this degree of opening and vulnerability in a way. But the second reason I'm concerned about it is that typically trade is conducive to innovation. Innovation is necessary for productivity. And I think that the combination of reduced trade on growth and the impact of trade on the capacity to innovate and to improve productivity is a vulnerability for Europe, and one that we have to address very forcefully if we want to win this battle of productivity. So and it's not independent from inflation. I'm not getting away from my topic, but it's one that is clearly a concern on the horizon.
But and it could be inflationary. I mean, 10% across the board tariffs, Chair Powell, inflationary?
Of course, I'm not going to be scoring any potential political proposals which have been talked about. It's just not our job to do that. Also, almost anything affects the economy. Trade affects the economy, immigration, energy policy. Those are not our jobs. There are other agencies that do those jobs. We do maximum employment, price stability. So in our political economy, we stay out of that.
Right, but has implications for price stability, surely, and maximum employment.
Again, we're not looking to be. This is exactly what we're not looking to do, which is to become players on issues like tariffs. I mean, because it affects. I mean, literally everything. All these things affect inflation and jobs. But notwithstanding that, there are others in the elected government who are responsible for trade policy. We don't comment. That's all.
Understood. So back to your job then. There is this debate and among the Fed and other central bankers about where policy rates are going. R-starred, the neutral rate, what that rate should look like, and whether it's different after COVID. What do you think?
Can we go back to trade?
Yeah, no. Sure. Please.
So, R-star. I guess I would start by saying that the thing that we write down as part of our summary of economic projections, and the thing that economists mean by R-stars, is a longer run concept. It's the rate of interest that would hold the economy at equilibrium at a time when we're at stable prices and maximum employment, and there are no shocks hitting the economy. So this is not the economy today. So the first thing to say is that when we're sitting in the boardroom in Washington thinking about whether our policy rate is the appropriate rate for this economy right now, we're not battling over what long-run R-star is, because this is a different economy. This is an economy that's still recovering from the pandemic. And so many forces are pushing it this way and that way, and there's really not a lot of precedent. So it's a very challenging time. But it's not the question. The R-star question is a really interesting question, and that is, are we going to go back to the very low levels of neutral rates that we had in the recovery of the global financial crisis? Or are we going to go part of the way back from today's high rates to that? And intuitively, most people think that we won't go back to those very, very low rates that we saw, during the global financial crisis recovery period. But we don't really know. I mean, the neutral rate is moved around, we think, by slow-moving, longer-run forces, demographics, technology, productivity over time. All of those things move it around. Ultimately, the balance between savings and investment. So it's a great conversation to have. But honestly, when we're looking at policy in the boardroom, it's how is our policy affecting today's economy, and do we think we're getting the results that we want? And by and large, in a world where this isn't a world of precision, we think we are. We're getting a gradually cooling economy, a gradually cooling labor market, progress on inflation, 4% unemployment, 2% growth. We're getting kind of what we would want to have, and so that's, I worry that some people, no one in this room, but some people think that the R-star debate is the thing that dictates our assessment of how restrictive policy is. It's really not. Unless you think that the long run rate is the same as today's rate.
I think that investors are trying to figure out, though, where you're going to end up and what the policy path looks like once you start cutting rates. And it becomes important then.
No, I agree. It does. Yeah. It's what will we discover to be. We'll find it empirically. What will we discover it to be? And I think there's a debate going on. There are people who feel very strongly that it hasn't changed and that it has changed, and ultimately it's unknowable. It does matter for the longer run. It matters for where rates will settle out, but it doesn't matter much for policy decisions today, which are the ones we're actually making.
I guess we want to know if they're like 10 cuts coming or 15 cuts. I mean, do you think, President Campos, it's changed post-COVID? Are you dealing with a different economy?
So the R-star story for emerging market countries is a little bit different. So for example, if you had a table of countries of Latin America, you would find that at least the models internally used by their own central banks, in some cases you had R-star going higher, like Brazil, from 3 to 4.5. But in some cases you actually had R-star going lower. So the question is, what is the short-term view and what is the long-term view, as Chairman Jay described? And I think for us, it's more like trying to understand what is the structural reason for the neutral rate in Brazil to be so high, 4.5% real time is really high. And I think a lot of it has a lot of structural elements from the past, but it has intensified during the pandemic. And you could go and talk about the amount of subsidized credit. You can talk about the trajectory of the debt. You can talk about productivity. For example, when you look at productivity, there is one thing that not a lot of people talk about, which is in the need for raising money, sometimes the adjustment is done on the revenue side. When you do the adjustment on the revenue side, if you look at what's being done in emerging market countries, and even in some advanced economies, you tend to go back and tax capital more than labor, because it's very hard to tax labor coming out of a pandemic. If you tax more capital than labor, and this has already been happening for a while now globally, and especially in emerging market, then you introduce another element that will bring productivity lower. So when you look at the causes of the neutral rate to be so high structurally, that's, I think, what we need to work on. And Brazil has done a lot of reforms. We have done reforms. And I think if you compare to other EM countries, Brazil was actually able to do reforms in the middle of the pandemic. We did the social security reform, we're doing a tax reform, we did the labor reform, all in the middle of the pandemic. But still, when you look at the efficiency of what was done, the end result seems to be that our structural rate is still our neutral rate, our star is still too high. And I think we need to go on and talk about what are the reforms that are needed in the medium term to make sure that we have a structural rate, a neutral rate that is lower than we have right now.
President Lagarde, do you ever see a world where we get back to near zero interest rates absent a crisis?
Do I think we're heading towards that? That's, in my view at this point in time, it's very unlikely, but it's not something that I would want to pass judgment on. What I can tell you is that when we start having that conversation that Chair Powell described perfectly well and that I would completely subscribe to, I would be relieved, because it would mean that we are getting closer to where we need to be. It would mean that we do not have any shock suffered by the economy, nor on the immediate horizon. So that would be good news. But we are certainly not at this stage, and this is not the work that we do when we set our policies going forward.
One thing that's been moving fast and has the potential to impact economies is generative AI. And I know we started talking about it a little bit here on stage last year. It was early, but things have moved, President Lagarde. So how are you thinking about any impact on growth or productivity or inflation of what's happening in technology?
Well, Sarah, that's a subject for which we need another hour, because there are so many questions about it. Number one, there has to be some regulatory framework within which AI and generative AI in particular, especially if it's in the hands of a small oligopoly of companies, is actually organized in order to protect a number of rights and protection of citizens. I would start from that, which is not where we are for the moment, although there are attempts to organize in a better way, as was the case with internet, on a global basis, the use of generative AI. So point number one. Point number two, and I will let Roberto talk to that point because he's more of an expert than I am. The question of how much energy is used in order to test large language models is really something that is not often in discussion, and yet it matters enormously. Third, the impact that AI will have on growth, on inflation, on productivity, I think is yet to be determined. I think most people would agree that it will have an impact throughout the ladder of jobs in most segments of the economy, in areas where mechanical developments have not historically affected jobs in particular, and it will require significant amount of training and constant upskilling of people so that they can adjust to artificial intelligence, use it, and not be victims of it. I would add to that I think we at the ECB are using artificial intelligence, try to do it in a safe environment without being hostage to those companies that would like to have access to the most private of our data. So it does require a cautious management and enough control without preventing the innovation and the creativity that people can apply in the use of these tools.
You use it in models? How do you use it?
We use it in models. We use it in, whenever we need a lot of language mining and whether it's structured or unstructured data for that matter, we use it and we are constantly pushing the frontiers of that. But as I said, cautiously, because we need to protect data and we need to make sure that there is enough human judgment involved in the process of this use of artificial intelligence so that we are not either hostage to the mechanics itself.
Do you think that fears over generative AI, Chair Powell, rendering certain jobs or industries absolute are legit? And is there anything a central bank can do?
I don't think we know. So you see this massive investment boom. You see, serious people in the private sector and the public sector. There's a sense of something big coming here. And it feels like what that will be is it will eliminate some jobs, it will create some new jobs. And the question really is for many people who will it augment their labor and make them more productive, or will it eliminate their job? And I just don't think we know that. It's too early to say. There's not a lot a central bank can do about that. This is really a job for we can supervise our financial institutions and things like that to make sure that that they understand what they're doing with all different kinds of technology. But also, like everybody else, we're meeting with all the experts and asking ourselves what will be the effects on productivity, on inflation, on growth, and will it be enormously displacing, and if so, of whom? One thought is that it'll be more people doing white collar jobs who are writing press releases and things like that. So we just don't know. It's something we're investing a lot of time and effort. We're not using generative AI. We're very carefully looking at that. Other earlier forms of AI are in fairly common use in American business, and I believe we use some of that.
What about you, President Campos? I know you're focused on the energy needs as well.
Well, first, I think when you look at the surveys that we have, and we have plenty now on the use of AI on companies, what you have in terms of empirical evidence up to date is that the companies that use AI to enhance existing labor have had better results than companies that have replaced labor for AI. So that's something that we know. It doesn't mean that some jobs won't be replaced by others, as it was said. But I think what we need to understand is what we are seeing basically is an increase in the ability of processing data and storing data. So it's basically computer power and the ability to store data. And that's very energy consuming. You have a couple of dimensions that you need to look in. You look to privacy, where is the limit, and what is the taxonomy of using this once it becomes a global instrument? What is the taxonomy of using this? Because you could be talking about data centers being placed in countries that have cheap energy to produce services for countries that have more expensive energy. So once you start crossing the frontiers, thinking about how you're going to do this movement globally, I think there's a lot of consequences. And one of which I think is you're going to have very unequal growth between the countries that are more on the edge of producing this technology and the countries that are not. And the energy consumption also will be very unequal. So I think globally, we need to look at how we're going to connect the dots and create more or less a taxonomy for this development to be sustainable.
In the minutes that we have left, I want to do sort of a quick lightning round of questions. Mainly, we talked about opportunities, we talked about economies. What about the biggest risk facing your economies? And I do wonder if they're the same or different. Chair Powell, what's the biggest risk facing the U.S. economy right now?
Yeah, I mean, I traditionally have said cyber risk to that because it's, we know how to deal with credit risk. We know how to deal with lots of kinds of risk, market dysfunction, things like that. But we haven't really had a big successful cyber attack on a financial market utility or a bank. And that's the kind of thing which I think is, the stuff of lying awake at night. I would also, today though, honestly, really it is just the balance that we talked about, getting the balance on monetary policy right during this critical period. That's really what I think about in the wee hours.
President Lagarde?
Same thing.
Really? Really? Cyber risk?
I think, I'm saying that touching wood actually, and I wish, yeah. Because it's one, if you ask the financial sector, if you ask banks with which we interact a lot, sometimes much to their chagrin, but eventually to their satisfaction in the long run, I'm sure, because we supervise them carefully. But typically, that's a risk that they flag as one of their top priority risk, and on which I think we need to constantly improve the level of coordination, first, second, third line of defense, and best way to respond to those. Now, clearly, I'm concerned as a person more than as president of the ECB about the backlash that there is against the fight against climate change. And some would argue that it has nothing to do with central banking, but I would contend that this is actually not the case. It does have a ramification impact that we should be mindful about, but it's a risk that is there and that will come to haunt us if we don't do much about it.
I thought you were going to say geopolitical risk. That's there too, right? Facing Europe?
Geopolitical risks as defined by Maurizio earlier on. No, who was it?
Yeah, Moritz.
We heard a lot about geopolitical risk.
It's there, and it's just on the doorstep of Europe. When you look at this horrible war against Ukraine, it's a major risk which is out there and which is hurting those on the ground and the neighboring countries in particular.
What's your biggest risk?
If you look at what markets price today, they will probably, at least for part of Yemen, especially for Brazil, the conclusion would clearly be that the main risk is fiscal. But I think that comes and goes, and it has to do with growth and productivity and a lot of the things. I think there is one other risk that I see, and it's not very tangible, which is the polarization that we live today. If we think about the amount of time that we spent on some social issues that are connected to polarization and that are not that meaningful to produce well-being of the society, I worry a lot about that.
Yeah. So if we're sitting here on stage in 1 year from now, which we hopefully are, the inflation rate in the US will be?
Mid to low twos.
That's we're mid twos now.
Yeah, well, we have 1 month at 2.6. And, we had a brief visit to the low twos at the end of, but I mean, sustainably, durably underlying inflation between 2 and 2.5 is what I would say. That would be a great outcome.
Headline PCE.
Yeah.
President Lagarde, 1 year from now?
1 year from now, I would say low twos. We are at 2.5 latest reading, and as I said, bumpy on the way ahead, but yeah, low twos.
You've been closer to 4%, President Campos, right, lately? So where do you think you are in a year from now?
Well, I won't be in the central bank a year from now.
But, we already established that, yeah.
But I think that the work that's being done is very technical. I'm confident that we will continue to be that way. And I think when you look at expected inflation today, I think it has a disconnect with the current inflation, and it has a disconnect with the fundamentals that we have in Brazil. So I'm confident that the future inflation will be lower than the expected inflation. In other words, I think what the market's pricing today is not in sync with the reality.
What about the unemployment rate? We're going to go full dot plot here.
Yeah. I'd be happy if it were just right where it is now. That would be a good outcome. Plus or minus a couple of tenths would be good.
Is that likely?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
Starting to rise.
It's moved up from 3.4. We touched 3.4, so we're up to 4, but 4 is still a very low level. It's been a long time since, the last time we were at 4 or below for this long is, I was a teenager, a long time ago.
Also, unemployment rate in Europe, it's been, what, healthy, 6.5%?
Historical low,
yeah.
And I hope it stays there a year from now.
What's the unemployment rate in Brazil?
Well, it's close to 7% now, which is very low when you look at our history. I think probably will go up a little bit, but not too much. But I think what we need to look at is the participation rate. So we just published a study that shows that the transfer programs have an impact in the participation rate. Our participation rate was down and then it's recovering a little bit at the margin. And I think it would be very important to understand what is the dynamics of the participation rate going further.
And finally, Chair Powell, were you a 2-cut dot or a 1-cut dot for 2024?
No comment.
Thank you very much, all of you, for participating. I tried.
So thank you there for such a wide-ranging and fast-paced discussion. And we even managed quite a few jokes, even without Governor Wade here this year. So well done, guys. You really helped.
All right. So, yeah, that's it for today on the Jerome Powell conference. Tesla has been riding up here after good delivery numbers. They're up to over 230s. SPY is up to 545s. I thought Powell sounded mostly dovish. So it sounded like they were going to cut rates and that he was confident in the economy. Although, we did have the JOLTS report show up. If you look below me, the JOLTS report showed up at 8.14 million, higher than expected, showing economic strength. And again, that typically means that we're not going to cut rates. That typically means that the economy was stronger. It's definitely a more hawkish sign because, the stronger jobs are, the more people spend and inflation can potentially spike. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. The JOLTS report showed up at 8.14 million versus 7.91. The SPY has been breaking highs. Tesla's been breaking highs after good delivery numbers. And again, Powell to me sounded pretty dovish. He sounded optimistic. He sounded like they were going to cut rates. But the JOLTS report kind of contradicted that is the only thing. So we'll see what happens there. Again, let me know in chat what you guys think right now. What do you guys think? When do you guys think the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates? The expectation is mostly for September. So not this next meeting at the end of this month, but in September. And again, I think that's probably when we're going to do it. I would guess we're going to cut rates in September. But again, let me know what you guys think in chat. Also, if you want to check out one of my sponsors, check out Apex. Apex is a great way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose. And so if you put up thousands of dollars yourself, you're probably going to lose that. Instead, you could try a funded account program. They give you a demo. They test your skill with a demo account first. If you fail, then you only lose the monthly subscription, which the base one is only $40 a month. If you lose, you're out $40. It's not the end of the world. And when you consider most day traders lose, and to be fair, most day traders will probably lose here as well because most day traders lose. When you consider that, it makes perfect sense to try this out before risking your own money in day trading. Apex has paid out over $200 million since 2022. In customer compensation. And so it's just a great way to learn. In the futures market, there's no PDT rule. You can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, gold, commodities, and a lot of other cool stuff. Patterns are very similar to blue chip stock patterns. And again, they're a sponsor of mine. So of course I'm biased, but if you want to check them out, I'll put the link up here. You can see it and check it out. You got to just use my coupon code BT if you want to get you can get the 150, 250, and 300K challenges for only 35 or 40 bucks. You can get the 25K challenge for only 35 or 40 bucks. And that one, you got to make 1,500 without losing 1,500 first. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio on the base one. But again, if you want to check it out, here's the link. They are a sponsor of mine. They pay me money. So of course I'm biased because they pay me money. They pay me money. I'm biased. But if you want to check it out, there's the link. Understand these rules that you see on screen right now. And yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. Good luck. We are going to be doing a crypto show today, so don't go anywhere, guys, because we are going to be doing a crypto show today. And so as soon as we close this stream down, it should immediately bring you to the crypto show. It's going to be really short and sweet. And yeah, we'll see what that looks like, guys. We'll see what that looks like. again, will we cut rates in September is the question. Will we cut rates in September? I'm not sure what we're going to do there. Time will tell. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Again, as soon as we close this stream, it should immediately bring you to the crypto show. Let me make sure it gets us over there now. And yeah, I'll see you guys over there. Again, if it doesn't bring you to the crypto show for whatever reason, here is the link to it. Crypto show link. There's the link to the crypto show. And again, as soon as we close this screen, we are going to be going over to the crypto show right now. Let me make sure we got everything set up. Yeah, so again, I'll see you guys over there. Y'all be safe. Y'all be good. Good luck.